Sure enough, it's Jiang Wu. Mo Shanghua holds the wooden card in his palm. He's awe-inspiring. He's about to say thanks, but he doesn't see Yan Beiqing in front of him. When she looked at the empty yard, her eyebrows began to frown. On the one hand, Yan Beiqing refused to admit that he was helping her, and on the other hand, he helped her. She walked so quietly, which was really weird. Finally, she shook her head and put these confused ideas out of her mind for a while. She looked around and saw that it was not far from her field in the suburbs, so she went directly to the field. As soon as he saw her coming, the chief servant came up and said with a flattering smile, "I'll see the princess, Princess Jinan." Mo Shanghua's delicate mandible was slightly touched, and then he crossed the steward and went into the field. She looked down at the thick layer of cow dung on the ground. After so many days of volatilization and light, it had been dried, and the stench in the air had been reduced. Mo Shanghua thought for a moment, took out a drawing from her sleeve and gave it to the little guy behind her, explaining in a low voice, "You will build it on this field according to the drawing in a moment. If you need any materials and silver, you will go to the sheriff's office and register with Chinya, and she will take you to get it." "Yes." Xiao Si took the drawing and looked down. He saw a semicircular shed. The ceiling was transparent and seemed to be pasted with wax paper. It was supported by bamboo. It looked very fragile. "Princess, what is this?" After staring at the drawing for a while, the boy frowned tightly, full of doubts. "It can help the food grow faster." Mo Shanghua saw that he didn't understand, so he explained it casually. "After all, this guy needs to be contacted frequently in the future. It's not good if he didn't understand, the things used in the ceiling are made of white wax, roving and other things, and it will never rain in. There are explanations on other drawings, just take a look at them for yourself. The princess is wise." The boy's face suddenly showed a sudden color, and he sincerely spoke in praise. Mo Shanghua still looks light, not arrogant, not impatient, and looked down at the field, then added, "When the shed is built, you will strip away all the cow dung and get a small amount of green pepper, eggplant and so on. You can't plant seeds here on weekdays." As if she knew what to ask next, she said faintly, "You don't have to consider whether you can survive. You just need to plant as usual." Little see this just astringent eyebrow low purpose should descend, dare not ask more. Seeing this, the flower on the street nodded and rode back to the city. The next day, Mo Shanghua went to see Qin Lin again. Seeing that he was in good condition and recovered well, he got up and left, took Chinya with him and went to the grain shop. These days, she is always busy with food planting, but she ignores the food shop. When she mentioned Qian Lin yesterday, she could think of it, and she didn't know that the food merchants who went to work there could be safe. Just as she was thinking about it, she had swept the front hall and arrived at the back hall. On weekdays, looking at the idle and incomparable flowers and willows, I was standing on the side of the case with a slight frown, and it seemed that there was a bit of anger between my eyebrows and eyes. There was a steward standing beside her, frowning. They were talking in a low voice. Hua Qianliuping's ink folding fan, which was waving around, closed and pinched in his palm. "What's the matter?" Mo Shanghua came forward and asked softly. "Why do you have time to come here?" Flower Thousand Willow raised his head. "C is a flower, eyebrows slightly stretch, it does not matter to hook up the corner of the lip, is not a big deal, I can deal with it, you don't have to worry about it." As he spoke, the corner of his lips had been rehung with a signboard smile. However, the folding fan in my hand is still in the palm of my hand, and the anger between my eyebrows and eyes has not abated. Who said I was going to step in? Mo Shanghua looked at him clearly, but there was no serious color between his eyebrows and eyes. This grain shop has a part of me, so I should know what happened. After a pause, she turned to one side of the steward, "Come on." But the steward didn't open his mouth immediately. Instead, he turned his head and looked at Hua Qianlu. He didn't open his mouth for a long time. Flower Thousand Willow eyes across a bit surprised, and then some funny shook his head. "The loss of this child thought you want to share weal and woe with me, the original is just like this, just say and listen to it." It was not a big deal to him, but he was a little annoyed when he first heard about it. When the manager saw this, he was relieved and explained in a low voice, "Well, among the grain merchants who bought the grain a few days ago, one named Lu Yuanwei sent thousands of kilograms of rice. The top layer was good, and the bottom layer was full of moldy bad grain, which could not be used at all." Thinking of this, he couldn't help frowning and worried, but the food delivered a few days ago is too much, which was discovered only today. If you want to investigate, I'm afraid there's another argument from member Lu. The flower willow eyebrow on the street is also shallow frown, turn to look at the flower willow, take me to have a look. Why bother? Flower willow hand folding fan gently palm, low voice command, go, carry 2 bags. The steward answered, and after a while, he came back, followed by 2 men, each carrying 2 bags of rice on his shoulder. To nearly the first 2 people will put down the grain, open the opening of the bag, for the flowers to look carefully. I saw that the rice grains, which should have been white and full, were now full of blackened molds, and a peculiar smell of molds was diffused in the air. Mo Shanghua squatted down, and her delicate hands went into the bag, grabbed the rice grain, and looked down. After a while, she put the rice grain back again and turned her eyes to see the flower willow behind her. Have you opened the rice grain sent by other grain merchants one by one? Almost all of these people were sent on the same day. Many of them are the same as those sent by Counselor Lu. They haven't had time to check. Hua Qianlu took the usual look of a dandy and answered patiently one by one, however, after this happened, I'll have people check it one by one. It should be a result in a while. Just as he said that, a young man came out of the door, panting and opening his mouth. Hui Gongzi, the slave has checked. Besides Lu Yuan, there are Zhang Yuan and Li Yuan. All the grain sent by Li Yuan is moldy, but the last 2 people's grain is less moldy, one is 20 bags, the other is 8 bags. Hua Qianliajin's face suddenly sank, and there was no surprise in his eyes. It was obvious that he had already expected, these people are really brave, and they really dare. The man immediately lowered his head in fright and didn't dare to say more. Mo Shanghua didn't want to get involved. Now, seeing flowers and willows like this, he had some idea of going to the theater, so he didn't open his mouth. She wants to see the real strength of Hua Qianlu. Hua Qianlu just wanted to open her mouth. Her eyes glanced at the silent flowers in the street. She seemed to understand. She was angry in her eyes. She folded a fan in her hand and gently touched her shoulder. I said, this grain shop is not my own. You also have a share. These people are attracted by you. You have to solve them. Lu Mei, a rare flower in the street, gently stirred up and stepped back. I didn't intend to interfere. You are the owner of Qinghuan Pavilion. If you can't handle this little matter well, you might as well close the door as soon as possible. She has a light look and a completely independent attitude. Flower willow eyes in the dark color micro flash, a fair and handsome face are wrinkled into bitter gourd, but you, also can't be such a shake-off shopkeeper, you know my identity, how can you do it at will? Mo Shanghua raised her eyes and glanced at him lightly. Her lips picked lightly. But I've been working so hard in recent days that I really don't have the extra strength to do other things. The implication is self-evident. Hua Qianlu wanted to tease Mo Shanghua. Seeing Mo Shanghua like this, she could not help but said, forget it, I don't want to lose money. You just look at me. Mo Shanghua is also casually said, see he is not stupid, simply nodded, really doing the side watching. Flower Thousand Willow sighed also is complexion, let a person take those a few people to. When a few people arrived, he deliberately did not let people pick up the bad food, so that they could see clearly. When Lu Yuanwei and others came, they had a vague guess in their hearts. At this time, they saw that the flower on the street was so bright that they put things here. However, they pretended not to see them. They looked for eyes on the flower on the street and Hua Qianlu, and then saluted them respectively. On the street, the light of the flower's eyes swept from the people who bowed themselves to salute. Instead of opening their mouth, they were flowers and willows, gently shaking their folding fan, with a touch of radiance on their lips, which was a good way to talk. Counselor Lu quietly looked up at the flowers on the street, and then glanced at the flowers on one side. The clever one lowered his head again. Without opening his mouth, he began to sweat a little on his forehead. He had been informed that Mo Shanghua would not have time to take care of things here these days, so he dared to do it quietly. Now, although Mo Shanghua didn't speak, he just sat here, and he felt nervous. Hua Qianliu's folding fan gently touched the palm of his hand with rhythm and said with a smile, "A few members, the grain you sent has been found moldy a few days ago." "I didn't have time a few days ago. Now I'm free, but I want to hear your explanation. I hope you can answer truthfully. After all, we will continue to cooperate in the future." Mo Shanghua seems to have nothing to do with the light holding the celadon cup, but in fact also quietly looked at the bottom of a few people, the line of sight finally fixed in the Lu Yuan. Member Lu has no scruples about flowers and willows, but he is just a stranger to flowers after all. The sheriff's office promised to protect him. How can the flower-willow business be worth the government's people? After pondering for a while, he straightened out his attitude and tried his best to be polite. Wagongzi joked. "I have just harvested this year's grain. Even if I can save it for a year or two, how can it be bad?" Flower Thousand Willow lips smile unchanged, a pair of good-looking fox eyes, rather than smile of coagulation Lu outside the meaning, that is to say, this grain is bad in this child here. The palm of Lu Yuan's hand tightened half an inch nervously and said, "It's rainy in recent days, and it's especially humid. It's also easy for rice to get moldy." The other two counselors also agreed with each other. Hua Qianliu's eyes were covered with frost, but the radiance of his lips did not recede. "Although I have never been in touch with this trip before, I have been looking for old people in this field for many years to take care of the granary. Unless there is rain, it is impossible for the granary to get wet. Besides, are you really stupid? Can't you see that those grains are old grains?" He pinched the folding fan tightly in the palm of his hand. As soon as the fox turned his eyes, he fell on Mo Shanghua. "The most important thing is that the biggest shopkeeper of the grain shop is the princess. I just take care of the princess. You do these things so blatantly that you don't pay attention to the princess at all." The flower eyebrow on the Mo lightly askew, can't help but turn Mao horizontal Flower Thousand Willow one eye. She didn't agree, so he tried to pull her into the water. He was really a fox. Even so, she waited out. If she didn't speak, it would encourage the arrogance of these people. If she didn't handle one well, she would lose a lot. She didn't have to worry so much about the current interests. After thinking for a while, she gently opened her red lips and slowly said, "Even the princess is not in the eye. Several members are really brave and are not afraid of anything." Lu Yuan's thin sweat, which had just disappeared from his forehead, suddenly came out again, but he bit his teeth and said, "The princess is serious. How dare the grass people? These old bad food are clearly placed here. How dare you say you dare not? Princess, Master Mingjian." Counselor Lu is it? Flower Thousand Willow a pair of fox eyes smile not smile at Lu member outside, a pair of pure good harmless appearance. The flowers on the street are clearly catching a touch of dangerous color at the bottom of his eyes. After all, he is the lord of Chenghuan Pavilion. It's strange that he is so harmless on the surface. Mr. Lu buried his head low, squeezed his fist tightly and didn't dare to open his mouth. Flower Thousand Willow see this also not vexed, in the hand-folding fan point behind the little C, smile the mouth of chant, "You checked the things a few days ago to Lu Yuan read Tao." The steward answered with a voice, and asked someone to take a book and read it. He raised his voice and said, "Outside of Lu, when all the grain merchants were collecting grain a few days ago, you seemed to be in the same line with Qian Lin, but in fact you secretly transported the grain out of Wujuan to sell. Almost all the grain was sold, and there was no loss at all. After a pause, he continued to utter coldly, "This is the account book of all your recent contacts, in which the details are recorded." His books? How is this possible? That account book he is hiding in the dark grid at home, how can he get to Hua Qianliu's hands? Counselor Lu was shocked, and his face was full of amazement and disbelief. Hua Qianliu directly took over the account book in the steward's hand, threw it out in front of Member Lu, and said with a smile, "The amount of grain you sent is not the same as that on the account book, only the surplus grain you had in previous years. Now I want to hear what you say." Mr. Lu picked up the account book on the ground and looked at it. His face muscles twitched slightly. After a while, he said, "My account book has been in the government. It can never be here. It must be fake." It's a quick response. The flowers on the street are looking at Lu Yuanwei as if they are not there. The beautiful eyes with light and clear water are flowing with a kind of thoughtful color. Are you doubting my ability? Flower willow lips radiant slightly paws down, narrow fox eyes dangerous squint. Lu Yuanwei suddenly remembered that Hua Qianliu was not just a rich party. His Qinghuan Pavilion was open all over the country, and it was in the capital. Qinghuan Pavilion was still the largest and most prosperous place. Thinking about this, Yuan Lu's forehead suddenly rolled out big beads of sweat, but he didn't lift his hand to wipe it, and his brain was spinning rapidly. After thinking about it for a long time, he gritted his teeth fiercely. What the grass people said is true. If you don't believe it, the grass people would rather die to prove their innocence. Said, unexpectedly was really stood up, closed the eye then toward the table corner to bump to come over. The corner of the table is beside the flower on the street. As soon as she raises her hand, she can save it, but she doesn't do it. Instead, she stares thoughtfully, and so does the flower willow. What's more, in order to prevent people from bumping into the corner of the table, they are extremely blunt. Even if they bump into it, they won't worry about their lives. But the other two members were all very surprised and wanted to rush forward to stop them. But they were a little late. Counselor Lu actually bumped into him. He broke his head immediately, but he didn't faint. Instead, he covered his head and screamed. Zhang Yuanwei and Li Yuanwei rushed over and helped Lu Yuanwei up from the ground. Lu Yuanwei endured the pain and thought that no one could see him. He quietly gave them a look. They immediately understood that they were not in a hurry to call the doctor, but turned their eyes and glared at Hua Qianliu. No matter whether Counselor Lu is wrong or not, Mr. Hua shouldn't drive people to death. Should the princess cover up such behavior? Yuan Zhang's eyes turned into bronze bells, full of anger. One side of the Li member is also like this, "Princess, we are all for your sake, just to come, you can't watch us so humiliated." Hua Qianliu's lips are slightly curved with a touch of ice. There is no smile in his eyes. "I've been in the world for so many years, but I've never seen you so shameless." You member Zhang's face turned red, and he was about to step forward. Counselor Zhang quickly grabbed Counselor Zhang, turned to see the flowers on the street, and said feebly, "Princess, although the grass people are not dead, it can also prove that the grass people are innocent." All of a sudden, everyone's eyes fell on the man of Mo Shanghua. Mr. Li and Mr. Zhang were extremely indignant and said that Mo Shanghua was in charge of them. Mr. Lu took advantage of this and quietly winked at his fellow outside the door. The boy ran down quickly. Flower Willow also temporarily gathered anger, turn eyes looking at the flowers, eyes seemed to have wave-light micro-turn. Mo Shanghua's delicate cheek was calm like a clear spring. After a while, she picked up her red lips and said, "Mr. Hua, you have shown me the evidence. Now, you just touch it at will. Can you wash away the solid evidence?" Lu Yuanwei, who had been somewhat restrained, changed his face at this time. He was slightly annoyed. "I really forget that the princess and Wagangzi are the same family. How can we say that they are fair and just? In that case, I don't think we need to continue our cooperation." His eyes and the side of the Zhang member, Li member diplomacy for a moment, then continued, "But, I can return those silver money to you, but my rice always what appearance, trouble princess, child good send back." Seeing this, Counselor Zhang agreed, yes, send our grain back. We will never cooperate with you again. So is Mr. Li. Seeing this, Counselor Lu's lip corners vaguely aroused a touch of satisfaction, and even the pain on his forehead seemed to have been alleviated. Hua Qianlu pinched the folding fan in her hand, and her lips were full of sarcasm and coldness. It's a good play. However, who do you think I am, and this cooperation can be lifted when you say it can be lifted? Lu Yuanwai's words are full of the meaning of using the flowers on the street. Naturally, she doesn't plan to watch the play, but also looks at several people. Lu Yuanwai, this is because you deliberately used bad food to deceive the past. In this way, you not only want to break the contract, but also want to break it. Don't you want your 100-year reputation? Lu Yuanwai's position among grain merchants is second only to Qian Lin, and his influence is extraordinary. Once he gets into trouble, things can't be solved simply. He must be suppressed as soon as possible. As soon as the voice of the flower in the street fell, I heard a loud noise outside the hall. It seemed that someone was breaking in. Flower Thousand Willow obviously also noticed this, busy let steward go out to have a look. The steward came back soon, but his face was ugly. Mr. Hui, Princess, all the grain merchants we worked with have come here, clamoring to see you. Let them all come in. I want to see what kind of ecstasy these people have taken. Flower Thousand Willow complexion sank for a moment, but very quickly then astering to go down, skin flesh don't smile of open mouth. In a short time, dozens of grain merchants came in, feeling indignant and excited. In any case, they must lift the cooperation and return all the grain. With a wave of Lu Yuanwai's arm, the crowd stopped the noise. At this time, the wound on his forehead had coagulated, and nothing had happened. His previous respectful attitude was completely gone, and there was a kind of satisfaction between his eyebrows and eyes. Now that people are looking forward to it, I advise you to make a decision as soon as possible. The smile on Hua Qianliu's face has been removed, and the folding fan in his hand is still on the side. He looks at them coldly. Is it popular or deliberately provoking? Isn't it like a mirror in Lu's heart? The Flower Willow eyebrows on the street frowned slightly, pressed the shoulder of Flower Willow, and looked at Member Lu calmly. If there is any mistake or omission in what Mr. Hua said, it must be clear in Member Lu's heart, so there is no need to say more. After a pause, her voice suddenly turned. However, the princess can tell you now that it is impossible to terminate the cooperation. Moreover, you have deliberately handed in bad food, and you have deliberately provoked the food merchants. You must also give an account. Why? It's really a big bully. Can we ordinary people be bullied at will? There's no reason. As soon as the words came to an end, the crowd burst into flames, and the grain merchants all turned red. They were full of indignant refutation and argument. Only Counselor Lu stood outside the crowd without opening his mouth. It was just the satisfaction of the corner of his eyes and eyebrows that was almost overflowing. Lord, there's some trouble with the princess. It's a bit too big to solve. The Dark Way hangs his head and stands, his voice is indifferent. What exactly? The narrow phoenix eyes of Yan Beicheng's cloak were slightly raised, her voice was low and calm, and she could not distinguish between joy and anger. Member Lu has brought people out to make trouble, and now he has gathered with dozens of other grain merchants in the grain shop. Now the situation is out of control. Yan North City Deep Ink pupil shoe of a deep, radiant graceful jaw light point, no, back down. With that, he stood up and was ready to leave. Lord, the people from the forest house are coming soon. What are you doing? The Dark Way is surprised, hurriedly comes forward to block in front of him, full face anxious color. You don't have to worry about my business. Just watch the forest house. In the dark eyes of Yanbei City, there was an imperceptible dark color, and his voice was deep. After a pause, he added faintly, I'll put off the business here for the time being and send the people of the forest house back. This is the biggest rich businessman in Wujuan except Qian Lin, and he doesn't start with rice. It's not easy to win this opportunity. How can we say we don't want it? Dark Wei frowned tightly and said in a deep voice, Lord, you must not be hurt by the princess alone. Please think twice. No need to say more, I will bear the consequences. Yen North City glanced at Dark Wei one eye, then directly turned to go out, only remaining Dark Wei full face burnt color. Qian Lin is full of tricks and tricks. If he doesn't go in person, he may take the opportunity to cause trouble. On the side of Mo Shanghua, she looked at the noisy crowd, her pretty face suddenly cold, like a layer of frost. Cold Qinren bones, you are here for Lu Yuanwei indignation, but you know, he sold you early. Seeing this, Hua Qianliu's lips gently raised a sarcastic radian. Old man Lu quietly sold all his grain when you were all planting grain. He didn't lose half a cent. It's you. Each of you is really tight. With these words, the noise was reduced, and many suspicious eyes fell on Counselor Lu. Although they listen to Lu's call, they are not stupid. Once their own interests are involved, the wind will suddenly turn. The flowers on the street quietly observe everyone's look, and the clear and cool eyes are getting deeper and deeper. These people look different. Some of them even show some confusion one after another. I think they have done the same thing as Lu Yuanwei. As expected, they are all in their own way. When he went to see Member Lu, he felt a little flustered. Don't listen to their nonsense. They are deliberately setting up a trap. They want you and me. We must not listen to their provocation. As soon as the voice fell, only some people believed it, while others still looked different, so they should not believe it. Member Lu obviously noticed this point and was about to explain it. A figure rushed in outside the door, ignoring the man's obstruction. Hua Qianlu frowned and wanted to drive people out, but when he saw that the man was Qian Lin, his eyes suddenly gathered. Let him in, you all go down. After hearing the speech, several guys stopped and got busy. Mo Shanghua stood up, eyes fell on Qian Lin, voice slightly heavy, money in charge, what are you doing? Some time ago, Qian was not at ease. Naturally, Mo Shanghua was suspicious. When I learned that something had happened to the princess, I came in a hurry. Qian Lin quickly raised his hand and wiped the sweat stains on his forehead with a flattering smile. Mo Shanghua has not opened his mouth. His eyes scanned Qian Lin's body slightly. He looks like a sharp blade. He dissects Qian Lin's eyes thoroughly, and then he nods his head gently. Even so, she still had doubts in her heart. Qian Lin didn't care much about her. Why is he so loyal now? Is it Yanbei City? Qian Lin was relieved. He turned around and looked around the crowd. Then he cleared his throat and put on the appearance of the former superior. Then he said, I know all about you. Counselor Lu quietly glanced at Qian Lin, his arrogance slightly reduced. Counselor Qian, since you all know, it's time to stand in the same line with us, how can it be? Although he did not continue to say the following words, the meaning was self-evident. This statement has aroused the suspicion of other grain merchants. On the same front? At this time, Qian Lin lost his wimpy appearance in front of Mo Shanghua, and restored the dignity of his normal superior. He pulled his lips and sneered and said, I didn't know before, so I wanted to fight against the princess. Now I've figured it out. After a pause, he glanced at the crowd with heavy eyes and said, we were against the princess before, but after that, when we were about to lose everything, the princess ignored the past and took away all my food, which saved me from losing money. Which one of you is not the same as me? The crowd fell into a dead silence. In the flower eyes on the street, I was a little surprised. I couldn't help but gather my eyes and meditate. How could he say that when he came to join her, he suffered a lot? I think it must have been instructed by others. Such a thought, the figure of Yan Beiqing can't help but emerge in her mind. Instead, Hua Qianlu listened carefully. Seeing the mirror, she said with no smile, this is not my son's frame-up, is it? Tut tut, I think you don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. What's more, do you think that even if our cooperation really ends, if you take out the grain, there will really be other markets? The crowd became more and more silent, but there was a bit of confusion on Lu's face. He could not help saying, just now, Qian called himself a slave to the princess. Now they are on the same boat. We can't listen to him. The flowers on the street came back to their senses, and their delicate cheeks were immediately stained with a layer of frost. Lu, do you still want to instigate me at this time? Well, in that case, I'll help you. From now on, I will terminate the cooperation with you. You can take away all your rotten food, but you must also return all the money. After a pause, she seemed to expect what Member Lu would say. She asked, is your food bad only when it's delivered here? All of you here are old people in this field. I think you can see one or two things. What's the matter, but what else do you want to say? With that, Hua Qianlu had already called people and sent those bags of grain to the people to watch. Qian Lin sees this, busy also greets everybody to come to see together. Although Qian Lin has gone to Moshanghua, his position as the richest man is still unshakable. Naturally, people will give him some thin noodles and come to have a close look. At this glance, I found that what Mo Shanghua said was true. When Hua Qianlu saw this, she didn't say much. She just took the folding fan and sighed. In the end, it's just a few people outside Lu's office trying to deceive us. If you get involved in it because of her private letter, it's not worth it to make your own grain shop lose money. A word awakens the dreamer. All of them suddenly come over and know that they have been used. Their faces change. Lu's eyes turn to anger. After a short time, they all went to Moshanghua one after another, bowed and said in unison, the grass people are stupid. I hope the princess will forgive me. Mo Shanghua turned her eyes and looked at Hua Qianlu standing in the crowd with a smile. Seeing that he had no dissatisfaction, she gently nodded, I know you are all being used. I don't blame you. Let's all get up. After a pause, she added, I just happened to pass by today. I just came to have a look at all the things in the grain shop. In the future, you'd better come to find young Master Hua. Yes. All of them answered in unison, and Qian Lin also took a long sigh of relief. Lu Yuanwai's face was very blue, Zhang Yuanwai's and Li Yuanwai's faces were flustered, and some of them looked at Lu Yuanwai in a dazed way. Mo Shanghua looked sideways at Member Lu and said in a faint voice, what I just said is that there are two other members outside Member Lu. Can you hear them clearly? If you really don't want to, I'll ask the sheriff to send a few people to come home with you to get the silver. At the end of the speech, she did not move her eyes, but secretly observed the fluctuation of Lu's look. Sure enough, at the time of mentioning the sheriff, Counselor Lu's eyes flashed. The light in his eyes went out clearly. It seemed that he was doing something fierce in his heart. For a long time, he actually lowered his head and said, the sheriff is coming. I'm afraid I can't get so much silver. Princess, it's all grassroots people. Now grassroots people know their mistakes. I hope you don't remember the villain's life. Please forgive grassroots people. If it is true according to Mo Shanghua, he will lose his wife and lose his army. It's better to bear it and find a chance to do something else in the future. The other two followed suit. Qian Lin didn't like Member Lu. Now it's because of this guy. He was caught by the master again. He was more resentful in his heart. He was about to fall into the well, but Hua Qianlu suddenly came forward and glared at him with a smile. The princess has her own decision. Qian should be honest about it for a while. His eyes seem to contain a smile, but in fact, it is like a thick layer of fog. People can't really see the money in the heart, think about it, or gritted his teeth to endure. Yes, the slave is to listen to the arrangement of the princess. Mo Shanghua put this scene into her eyes, but she didn't feel too much. She just closed her eyes and covered them with long, curly eyelashes like a PU fan. She couldn't see what she thought. If you look at it, you will know that you are thinking deeply. There are so many oddities in Counselor Lu's body that it's better to put them in front of his own eyes than to let the tiger go back to the mountain. In this way, it's also a matter of supervision. In addition, it seems that Counselor Lu has something to do with Qian Lin. If you leave him, maybe you can check Qian Lin a little. If you think about it in this way, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Rao is so. Mo Shanghua still pretends to be hesitant and ponders for a long time, and then says, I think it's not impossible to forgive you for the sake that you can correct your mistakes and fail to cause great disaster. However, there must be an explanation for these bad grains. I limit you to replace them all within 7 days. If you can do so, I will let bygones be bygones. Member Lu looked at the others, hesitated for a while, then bit his teeth and said, yes, the grass people will do it. Well, let's all step back. The princess has been punished. Mo Shanghua's delicate mandible is light. He turns around and sits down. He looks tired between his eyebrows and eyes. All the people are also aware of the current affairs. Seeing this, they all bent over to salute and then left in a hurry. All the people in the room were gone in a short time. Only Hua Qianlu was left. When she was so empty, she suddenly felt as if someone had been staring at her, which made her feel unnatural. Thinking about this, the flowers on the street can't help looking slightly at the hidden carved wooden door. As she was about to get up and look, Hua Qianlu sat down beside her and said with a smile, it's said that women are right and wrong. Now it seems that it's true. Even the princess is no exception. Mo Shanghua came back and gathered the look in her eyes. She said faintly, if you didn't drag me into the water intentionally, how could I help you easily? Flower willow is no half of the color of guilt, smiling toward her side to gather together, princess this name is very boring, what's your name? Since Mo Shanghua came to this world, her name has only been told to one person. Now when Hua Qianlu asks, her eyebrows can't help frowning. Hua Qianlu tilted her head to see the look of the flowers on the street. Her soared eyebrows gently stirred up, what's the matter, is it difficult? What's the unspeakable secret? Don't you even know Brother Beicheng? Speaking, his eyes light if have, seem to have no of lightly swept on the beam top for a while, the look in the eyes is misty and hazy. At this time, on the top of the beam, Yan Beicheng covered his face with a broad black cloak, lowered his head and watched the flowers in the street below. When they heard that they were talking about such a topic, their slender fingers between their knees suddenly tightened. In their eyes as deep as the pool, they scratched a few strokes, which was very obvious. It's true that Mo Shanghua didn't mention her name to him, but he did know it, because she once told Yan Sinshuan, and now she wants to talk to Hua Qianlu. Mo Shanghua did not know where Yan Beicheng was. She sipped her lips and thought for a while. Then she said, my name is Mo Shanghua now. Hua Qianlu shakes her folding fan and murmurs for a while. She just raises her head again. Her lips are slanting gently. It's really a nice name. How about I call you Xiaoma Hua later? Flowers on the street. Hua Qianlu shakes her folding fan and murmurs for a while. She just raises her head again. Her lips are slanting gently. It's really a nice name. How about I call you Xiaoma Hua later? Whatever you want. But a appellation, Mo Shanghua heart not too big touch, then casually should come down. By the way, I heard that Yu Qinghuan Pavilion exploration intelligence is unique, can you help me? I will answer the request of Xiaoma Hua, but... Flower Thousand Willow pulled long intonation, narrow fox mouth slightly pick up, I'm a small business, if plain answer, will lose money, so, I give you a discount, this number, how do you see? With that, his slender fingers looked like 500 taels. The curving eyebrows of the flowers on the street are carefully cut, but there is no big wave in the beauty. No business is without fraud. Hua Qianlu and she are not friends. It's common sense that they refuse to suffer losses. My aunts and grandmothers, if everyone is 500 liang, then I would have lost all my money. Flower Thousand Willow face do cry smile not of color, this but no two price, 5,002. I don't have that much silver. Lu Mei, who had just been provoked by flowers on the street, suddenly frowned. The grain shop's dividends can't be paid until the end of the month. Now I really can't take them out, up to 1,000 liang. Having said that, her eyes were silent and light. How can that work? Flower Thousand Willow immediately whoa, full of a careful money fan appearance. The flower on the street is as white as jade, and the delicate cheek is full of helpless color. The money in the grain shop can't move now, and I can't slow down this matter. Why don't you see, what kind of material object can I have before, and can I take it to pay the debt? It's just in the middle of the speech, her voice suddenly turned. It's just that although the mirror situation is only known to you and me, it will inevitably change the taste when it spreads out. I don't know. I think you are the next leader of Chunghuan Pavilion in Tang Dynasty. Now you are forcing a woman to pay off her debt with something close to her. If you really spread that kind of news, Hua Qianlu is afraid that you don't have to go out to meet people. She looks embarrassed and serious, but her words are very cunning. On the top of the beam, Yan Beicheng, who used to have a bad complexion, was in a state of great mood when he heard the speech. Now he was in a state of depression. Flower Willow is like swallowing a fly, swallowing is not swallowing is not. For a long time, he could not laugh or cry. Little Mo Hua, your eloquence, I am really convinced. That's all. It's a bad reputation. 1,000 liang is 1,000 liang. With that, he stretched out his hand in great pain, but no one could see it. The bottom of his eyes was still clear, with some interest. Mo Shanghua's lips are full and red. In a good mood, he raises a radian and slowly takes out a silver note from his sleeve and hands it to him. In this way, thank you for your kindness. Hua Qianlu took the silver note with her hand raised, holding the position of her heart with grief. It's really the most poisonous woman's heart. Well, don't be in my mouth. I need you to help me find out what Lu Yuan has been doing recently. Even in the past few years, he has done everything in detail. An old man over 100 years old. What can I do for him? Although Hua Qianlu has written it down in her heart, she can't help but make fun of it. In fact, even if Mo Shanghua doesn't say it, he will definitely find out about it. This grain shop also has his share, and his eyes can't hold sand. When it turns out, you're sending someone to inform me. I'll come myself. Mo Shanghua is lazy to talk with him. He gets up and tells the next sentence, then goes out. What I want to check will be found in 3 days. Don't worry about it, little Mo Hua. Hua Qianlu looks at the thin figure of the flower on the street. He leans lazily on the cushion behind him and opens his mouth lazily. Until the sound of footsteps gradually disappeared in the ear, Yan Beicheng's body jumped and fell in front of Hua Qianlu. Most of his face was covered by a broad black cloak. Although we can't see what he looked like, we can see that his mood is not so good just by his silent posture. Flower Willow is to continue heartless, gently shaking the hands of the folding fan, singing the words with a smile. How come down from the, is not squatting tired. Just as it happens, I have a long well made before the rain. I have some products. Yan Beicheng's pale lips were slightly pursed. He was silent for a while, and the air pressure of his whole body seemed to be reduced several times. For a long time, his eyes as deep as the pool suddenly fainted with a touch of ink. You are in such a good mood, I'm afraid it's not the product of Longjing before the rain. If he hadn't had time to change his clothes, he would have come down long ago. How could they have been together for so long? Especially the Flower Willow, recently is really too idle, skin itching tight. Between words, it seems that there is a meaning. Tut tut. Flower Willow curled his mouth, toned slightly with the color of ridicule. Really big vinegar, sour, my bones are about to crisp. Vinegar. Yan Beicheng's eyes suddenly sank, as if he had been poked into his heart, and his face was slightly cold. It's nothing to do with you. But I have something to tell you. What's the matter? Don't you drive me away. Flower's Willow narrow fox eyes slightly pick up, smile rather than smile of the mouth. Being guessed out of his mind, Yan Beicheng's face remained unchanged, and he said with no smile, you and I are not in Yuzhou. Recently, there are some restless people over there. I just received the news that your Chunghuan Pavilion has many more people coming from the imperial capital. If there are people coming from the imperial capital, no one will know. Brother Beicheng, you can't pass the test for such a lie. Is it because you've been indulging in Xiaoma Flower's skirt all day recently, and you can't even tell a lie? Hua Qianlu has always been confident in his intelligence network. Naturally, he doesn't believe Yan Beiqing's words. He has the right to be a child. Yan Beiqing, thin lips slightly hook, light mouth, to report the people are dead in the middle of the road, my people back to the imperial city to explore the news, saw their bodies. In my opinion, this is not only Yuzhou, but also your Qinghuan pavilion. Speaking, he took out 2 jade cards from his sleeve and put them on the table. The 2 pieces of jade are only half the size of a palm. They are carved from sapphire. The jade is transparent and translucent. It is as warm as a cage. The sculptures are extremely exquisite. Apart from the complicated patterns, there is a small, Cheng, character and 2 surnames representing their own identities. It's easy to see that such a rich jade plate is worn by people in Qinghuan Pavilion. When Hua Qianlu saw the jade card clearly, the radiance of her lips slowed down. She took the jade card and looked at it carefully. Then her face suddenly became cold. These people are more and more daring. Even the people in Qinghuan Pavilion dare to move. This jade card has always been in the jade card lost, now it seems, Yan Beiqing said is not false. Flower Willow is the most short guard, can't tolerate others to their own hands, certainly won't give up. Yan Beiqing's eyes were a little dark, but he didn't mean to gloat. He just took a token made of obsidian from his waist and threw it to him. Take this token and you'll have a smooth journey. When you get to Yuzhou, if you need to employ people, you will take this sign and go to the palace to find Nanha. Seeing that he was so serious, Hua Qianlu immediately became more and more convinced of his words. She took the token directly and said gently, "Okay, I'll thank you after I handle this matter." "You don't have to. Just leave as soon as you can. I'll deal with it for you." Yan Beiqing was in a good mood, but he didn't show his face, and his eyebrows didn't move. In fact, the matter is far from as serious as he said. At least, it can't reach the point where we need to spend Qianlu to deal with it in person. He said so just to temporarily take away the flower willow. At least, we should not let him wander in front of the flowers in the near future. But Hua Qianlu believed his words, and called his confidants. He told them something, so he took 2 people to Yuzhou quickly. As everyone knows, things are not as serious as Yan Beiqing described. Yan Beiqing is jealous here, but Mo Shanghua has already returned to the prefecture. As she walks slowly in the courtyard, she can't help thinking about what happened in the grain shop today. Originally, she didn't pay much attention to the grain merchants who came here, but today, she forced the matter to be positive, which made her pay more attention to it. Qian Lin is honest, but, in the final analysis, his internal thoughts are the same as those of the grain merchants. His thoughts are different, but he is only for his own interests. There is nothing else. It's easy to control him. For example, today's event is the best deterrent. It's just that Lu is really weird. She originally thought that this was just a matter of selfishness. She wanted to make a small profit from it, but later, the more strange the direction of the development of the matter became. Compared with Qian Lin on that day, all kinds of actions were better than others. They wanted to deliberately push the grain shop to the end. Moreover, he seemed to know the weakness of the grain shop, so he did it on purpose. But on that day, the granary was burned, and few people knew about it. In addition, Yanbei City gave a death order, so there was no possibility that it would leak out. Unless the flower steps on the street, clear and cool between the pupils, suddenly across a cluster of dark color. They all lived in the sheriff's mansion recently, and the guards who participated in that day also lived there. The most easily leaked place was the sheriff's mansion. It seems that Jiang Wu should be suspected. She should also tell him to check carefully. So think, Mo Shanghua will turn back, let Hua Qianlu help, even Jiang Wu explore again. Just turned around, hit a hard chest, the brain because of this hit, especially dizzy. However, she didn't know how, but the person who hit him covered his chest, ouch, ouch, howled, Princess, I haven't seen you for a few days, how strong you are, my chest is about to be broken. The flowers on the street follow the reputation. Sure enough, it was Yan Beiqing's face full of sorrow. The eyebrows could not help but jump. There was something wrong with it. Yan Beiqing, I don't have time to chat with you. I have something else to do. Get out of the way. Instead of letting her go, Yan Beiqing took the first 2 steps and sealed all her way to death. That's not true. My chest is so painful now. You have to go back with me to have a good look. Is there any damage? Say, then have a matter of fact like, the whole person's all toward the stranger flower pressed to come over, the head buries in her neck socket. Mo Shanghua's body is now petite and thin. Now she is so pressed by Yan Beiqing that she is unstable at her feet. She shakes twice and almost falls. Fortunately, she has been strengthening exercise recently, which can stabilize the body. But looking at Yan Beiqing, who is pressing all her weight on her body, Mo Shanghua can't help but raise her hand and push it, but she finds that she can't push it open at all. Her delicate white cheek suddenly turns black, and she says with gnashing teeth, Yan Beiqing, I'm really in a hurry now. You can tell me exactly what you want. Otherwise, I'm not polite. In the past, Mo Shanghua will say so much, and Yan Beiqing will know the current affairs, and leave by himself. Today, however, he has not moved at all. He is a rogue who says, my king is your husband, so you can't just let go of other things because of my king. As she spoke, her warm breath sprayed all over her neck socket, bringing her a sense of crispness and itching. Mo Shanghua Ying's ears are stained with a fainting powder. She quickly raises her legs and kicks towards Yan Beiqing's crotch. She just lifts the sedan chair. Yan Beiqing releases him, gets up and stands up straight, and looks at her quite positively. Forget it, just tell me what you want to do. Mo Shanghua stepped back 2 steps, dropped his eyes and straightened out his slightly messy clothes. After a long time, his voice returned to normal indifference. Back to the grain shop, I have something to do with Hua Qianlu. Looking for him. Yan Beiqing seems to have no intention of murmuring a word, but in the clean ink pupil, it is clear across a dark color, my king just came back from him, the people over there said that he has just started back to Yuzhou, said that there is something important to go back to deal with. How could it be so fast? The delicate eyebrows of the flowers on the street frowned slightly. It seems strange to me, but I can't figure out the reason. I don't want to think about it anymore. What does he explain? In his absence, I don't know if the affairs outside of Member Lu will be affected. Yan Beiqing just smoothed a lot of mood. At this time, he seemed to be blocked by something, the dark color at the bottom of his eyes was gloomy, and his voice was a little bit dull. Nature didn't say anything, how? Is it normal that he should leave you a word? That's not true. Although Mo Shanghua could hear the oddness of Yan Beiqing's words, she didn't think about it carefully. She just casually said, by the way, did he say it? When can he come back? Of course not. Yan Beiqing's white face suddenly darkened a little, and her long, jade-like palm gently pinched the soft hands of Mo Shanghua in the palm of her hand. Princess, how can you always talk about the man beside me in front of my king? Is it hard to be the heir when I am the king? Mo Shanghua took his hand out of his palm unconsciously. I'm talking about something important. With that, she lowered her eyes and began to think. Hua Qianlu is not here now, and Jiang Wu is quite different here. She is not available now. It seems that he is the only one who cares. At this time, Yan Beiqing didn't think so much about it. He felt that he was so depressed that he wanted to open his mouth. Not far away, Jiang Wu's body suddenly bumped into the line of sight. I've met the prince and the princess, and they are blessed. Jiang Wu bowed down respectfully, and the courtesy was as comprehensive as ever. Yan North City Heart not happy, then also just casually waved a hand, but is a stranger on the flower, gather all kinds of thoughts in the eyes, light turn eyes, Jiang Jun show please rise. Thank you, princess. Jiang Wu smell speech, this just respectfully thanks, then get up again. The flower on the street stares at Jiang Wu and says, "By the way, Sheriff Jiang, I don't know what happened to the old man who made a lot of trouble outside the mansion a few days ago. I've heard that she doesn't seem to be very good now." Jiang Wu's eyes quickly crossed a dark color that was not easy to detect, but his face did not change at all. He said, "If you want to return to the princess, I ordered someone to send back the body of the mother-in-law and his daughter-in-law that day, and gave them some money for their burial. As for the others, I don't know now." The words were ambiguous, but the stranger didn't believe a word in her heart. After pondering for a while, she said, "It's really troublesome for Sheriff Jiang. It's also a lot of trouble for you. I don't know whether it's intentional or unintentional." The word trouble has a slightly heavier pronunciation. Seeing this, Yan Beicheng's appearance of dandy and rogue was slightly reduced. He pretended not to be very interested and stood quietly. The princess joked, "But I just did my part. Why bother to say that?" Jiang Wu always knew that his brows and eyes were low, but it was also an action that seemed to have no problem. He covered his eyes completely. Mo Shanghua politely gently hooked the corners of his lips. His mind turned and he said faintly, "I have another thing to say to Governor Jiang." After a pause, without waiting for Jiang Wu to speak, she said to herself, "The shopkeeper in my shop is not here recently. The shop is short of staff recently, and there is really no one available. I wonder if you can mobilize some staff here to temporarily solve my current dilemma." Now she wants to see how Jiang Wu reacts. As long as he responds a little, she can see the person's mind. The voice fell, but Jiang Wu bowed his head and pondered for a long time. Then he said, "I've heard something about the grain shop. But I'm afraid the princess doesn't know. Recently, the Nanshan area is in a state of unrest and Japanese pirates are rampant. Most of my staff have been sent there. I really can't spare anything. I hope the princess will understand. How can he be calm? I think I saw something." In the deep of the flower ink pupil on the street, I was a little surprised. But for a moment, I was pressed down again and said with the same look, "It's good to send some soldiers to the enemy. I don't want people who run around and do chores, just one or two people who know about the accounting room." Is it difficult for Jiang Jun to be in charge of Wujuan for so many years that he doesn't even have the accountant? The princess is serious. Jiang Wu's eyes were slightly dark, but no one could see it because of his drooping eyebrows. "The people who sent you to the princess must be excellent, but good Mr. Accountant, now they really can't leave. Several of them have been sent to negotiate with the Japanese pirates, and the rest are just put forward by the apprentices. Where can they send them to the princess? Where is the Governor Jiang? I'm just at the time of employing people. I'm just competent. I don't have any reason to dislike him." The eyebrows and eyes on the street did not move at all, but the heart was very dignified. Jiang Wu is not surprised in his handling, and his words are quite clever. It can be seen that his mind should be superior. If he is really an enemy, he is not easy to deal with. Jiang Wu was also secretly frightened at this time. The new Princess Yu was only so old, so she was resourceful. If she was really allowed to continue to grow up, she would definitely be suffering in the future. This girl must not stay. Jiang Wu's eyes crossed with a shade of ruthlessness. He was about to retort. He looked at Yan Beicheng for a long time, but suddenly frowned impatiently and said, "Old Jiang, you just want a few people with you. How can you be so stingy? You just say, give it or not." Yan Beicheng's words are the same as his usual mischief, but they seem to have no intention, but they forced Jiang Wu to make a quick decision. The flowers in the street smell the words. If the lips are slightly tilted up, it just shows the tension of the sword. Suddenly, it's quite easy to turn the MOU, see the reaction of Jiang Wu. Sure enough, Jiang Wu's face changed slightly. He bent over and said, "My lord, it's not that I don't want to. I'm just worried about being rude and stupid. I've polluted your eyes and your affairs. Why do you talk so much nonsense?" Mo Shanghua has not had time to speak. Mo Shanghua is impatient to open a mouth, love imperial concubine has just said, don't despise those people vulgar stupid, isn't it enough? Are you afraid that there will be no one to take care of when something goes wrong? Must Yan Beiqing be so straightforward in his speech? Isn't this a little embarrassing for Jiang Wu? The flowers in the street smell the words, and the corners of their lips are cocked up. Loneliness can't help but expand a little bit. In the cool and indifferent eyes, there is a light smile, and they simply watch from the side. Sure enough, Jiang Wu has been in the officialdom for so many years. He has been doing all those twists and turns. When did he meet such a master who didn't play cards according to common sense? His face was numb and his muscles were slightly spasmodic. After a long time, he just laughed and said, "Of course not. Don't misunderstand me. Don't say there won't be a problem, that is, if there is really a problem, this person is sent by the minister, and the responsibility should naturally be borne by the minister." Sheriff Jiang is really sensible. Flowers on the street smile slightly, as if they don't know Jiang Wu's heart at this time. They deliberately send a conversation, but they pander to it. In fact, they sprinkle salt on his wound. Jiang Wu's heart has already been half dead, but still endure anger, smile humility should be next, princess too much. Yan Beiqing took the hand of Mo Shanghua and pulled her to his side. Now that the matter is finished, princess, let's go back to have lunch. Mo Shanghua didn't have time to react, so her soft hands were wrapped in his palm. She didn't really resist. After a few breaths, she pulled out her hands. Yan Beiqing's soared eyebrows suddenly frown. Before she has time to speak more, Qinya comes over in a hurry. When she sees the flowers on the street, her eyes suddenly light up, and she rushes over, covering her chest and breathing. Mo Shanghua eyebrow heart shallow Siyu rises, stepped forward to help Qinya. What's the matter, flustered? Qinya gasped for a long time, then raised her hand to wipe the sweat stains on her forehead. She just said, go back to the princess, my elder brother has a high fever today. I dare not go to the doctor, so I went out to find the doctor. But the guard won't let the doctor in. My elder brother can't go out. I'll come to find you quickly. Speaking, her eyes having a layer of tears, brother is still sick, now has been confused. The willow eyebrows on the street suddenly twisted up, and then went to the courtyard where Qin Lin lived. Qin Lin is loyal to her. She has to go to see her. Just walked 2 steps, Qinya is in a hurry to grab her sleeve. Princess, maidservant has one thing to report. Mo Shanghua stepped slightly, eyes dyed with a bit of color of doubt. What else? In order to find you, I went to the suburbs. Although you are not there, the steward over there tried his best to stop me from going in. I'm afraid that they have done something wrong. My brother is eager, but I'm afraid that it will be a big mistake if it's too late. Qinya raised her hand and wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, speeding up her speaking. On the street, the center of the flower eyebrows tightly twisted into a ball, and then he raised his head again. Don't worry about it first, it's important to see Qin Lin first. With that, she left in a hurry. Seeing this, Qinya quickly followed her. Yan Beiqing didn't catch up, but looked thoughtfully at the back of the flowers in the street. The ink color in his eyes was so dark that people couldn't see what he thought. It was during his deliberation that Mo Ling, the dark guard who had reminded him many times before, stood behind him quietly. After seeing the ceremony, he said, Lord, the people in the forest house are not willing to go. They must see you today, otherwise the negotiation will be invalid. Lin Fu's affairs are very important. In this way, he may have to go. I see. I'll go right away. Yan Beiqing's face returned to the usual cold and unpredictable, and his jaw was slightly raised. You go to the place where the princess is in the suburb to explore. If there is any abnormality, you should take care of it immediately and send someone else to report back. In Mo Ling's low astringent eyes, he crossed a helpless and complex color. After hesitating for a while, he still pressed down all kinds of thoughts and said, Yes, I'll do it. Voice down, people have again quietly no trace. When Yan Beiqing felt that Mo Ling was leaving, he regained his usual dandy look and went out at will. When Mo Shanghua arrived, Qin Lin was burning red and unconscious, and he was constantly babbling, "Cold, cold." Seeing this, Qinya couldn't control her tears all the way and fell down her cheek. "Princess, big brother, he." She wanted to say that let Mo Shanghua must save Qin Lin, but when she said that, she couldn't spit it out anyway and couldn't help choking. "I know, you go to get some water quickly, and bring some handkerchiefs. I'm here." Mo Shanghua takes the medicine box handed by the servant girl behind him, and tries to slow down her voice and comfort Qinya. Qinya quickly held back her tears, nodded and trotted down. Mo Shanghua walks to Qin Lin's bed with a medicine box. He doesn't avoid that it's a man's bed. He takes Qin Lin's hand out of the quilt and puts his white fingers between his wrists to feel his pulse. Then, she untied the gauze on Qin Lin's forehead and fixed her eyes on her wound. Sure enough, the wound, which had healed well in recent days, was suddenly inflamed and festered. It seems that someone is blocking it. But Qin Lin has been injured for several days. The wound has recovered well, and the medicine is the best. It's impossible to have such a situation. Even if it's really an accident, it shouldn't be now. If it really makes the people behind the scenes happy, I'm afraid the next one is Qinya. Mo Shanghua quickly turned his mind a few times, and soon sank his mind. He took out all the things he needed from the medicine box one by one, collected his eyes and began to deal with Qin Lin's inflamed wound. She was very serious. She didn't know that a small tile had been lifted from the roof. A masked man in black was looking into the room through the lifted tile. Fortunately, Qin Lin's current situation is not very serious. When Qinya comes back with what he needs, Mo Shanghua has already dealt with it. In addition, because Mo Shanghua has given Qin Lin medicine, he is now sleeping soundly and is no longer talking. Seeing this, Qinya breathed a sigh of relief and handed the things she had just brought to Mo Shanghua one by one. Mo Shanghua put a copper basin with half a basin of warm water on the table, took out a small blue jade bottle from his waist, and immediately the milky powder melted slowly in the clear water. This medicine has the effect of dispelling heat and detoxification. Qinya, you can put the handkerchief in and soak it for a while, and then use the handkerchief to help Qin Lin wipe the palms of hands and feet. The fever will soon subside. Mo Shanghua put away the sapphire bottle and whispered, "Move quickly, I'll wait for you outside." Qinya nodded like pounding garlic, took the handkerchief and threw it into the basin, squatting down to soak it carefully. Mo Shanghua sees this and is about to turn around and leave. Suddenly she feels that her head is like a thorn in her body, which makes her very uncomfortable. She couldn't help looking up, and saw that a small tile on the roof had been lifted, and a shadow swept past, so fast that she could almost see only a remnant. The flower's eyes on the street were suddenly sharp, and the footwork changed quickly. His body was like an arrow from the string and swept out quickly. Then he stepped on the bluestone wall twice and jumped to the roof. Just now that piece of tile is still open, but already empty. Mo Shanghua went to the tile that had been opened and looked at it. From that angle, she could see everything in front of Qin Lin's bed. Her willow eyebrows suddenly gently ring up, clear and cool eyes color microcoagulation. When on earth did this man come? When she was concentrating on medical treatment, she secretly hid here to observe for such a long time, but she was not found. If it was not for that man's carelessness, she would not have noticed. What's the origin of this man? Is he from Jiangwu, or from King Yu's mansion, or from the imperial city? Mo Shanghua thought for a long time, but couldn't think of a reason. In the end, he pressed down the problem temporarily and covered the roof tiles again. With the tip of his foot gently, he fell on the ground again. The maid was stunned. "I think you should understand whether you should take care of your mouth or not." The flower on the MO light swept this servant girl, the tone in the microstrip a few cent threaten of meaning. This servant girl was originally brought by Mo Shanghua from Yuzhou. She was still loyal. Hearing this, she nodded her head and didn't dare to say more. Mo Shanghua then gently lowered her chin and said in an indifferent voice, "Now go to the kitchen and take all the cups, bowls, utensils and medicine dregs Qin Lin used today, and then go to the side hall to see me." "Yes." The servant girl was submissive and busy. Qinya just put everything in the house in order. She just came out and saw this scene. She couldn't help but say, "The princess suspects that someone has tampered with her brother's diet and medicine, and that's what happened to her brother." "Exactly." Mo Shanghua turned around and said, "By the way, have you ever seen anyone in Qinlin today?" "Elder brother, I went out to look for you early this morning. During this period, I don't know if my elder brother met anyone." Qinya tilted her head for a moment, then frowned and shook her head. Mo Shanghua had expected that, so she didn't have too much emotion in her eyes. She nodded her head and said, "Follow me to Pianting first. I'll get justice for Qin Lin's affairs." Jiang Wu got up and turned the inkstone on the bookcase a few times according to a certain rule. The bookshelf, which was originally well placed, made a slight click, and then slowly moved to one side, exposing the dark hole inside. Seeing this, Jiang Wu walked in slowly. Just went in, this bookshelf then slowly moved back, restored the former appearance. There is only a small study in the dark room. In the study at this time, a masked man in black has been waiting in front of the bookcase. If you look carefully, this man is the one who watched the flowers in the street before. "What's the matter? Come and tell me in such a hurry." Jiang Wu frowned slightly, as if he was not satisfied with the behavior of the man in black. Nature is a big deal. The man in black was not polite when he saw him. He just said, "Today, I observed that Princess Yu is skilled in medicine, even in martial arts. It's not as simple as we thought. I'm afraid that the direct assassination you thought before won't work." "What?" Jiang Wu's eyes were shocked, then frowned more tightly. She was just a boudoir woman before. How could a boudoir woman do this? "Are you sure you read it right?" The man in black was a little cold. He snorted coldly and said, "Don't forget, I'm a man over there. With my ability, I can't be wrong. Well, I just came to let you know that I have to go back to recover my life. You can deal with it yourself. Remember, don't lose the right of Wujuan. Otherwise, you don't have to save your life." Jiang Wu's eyes flashed away, a touch of anger, but it seemed that he was worried about it. He forced it down again and said, "I understand, and you don't have to worry about the rest." The man in black nodded his head, turned around and groped on the wall. I don't know where he pressed it. There was another door in the small dark room. It was dark outside. I could only vaguely see that it was a long corridor. The man in black walked in a flash and soon disappeared in the corridor. The stone gate closed slowly. Jiang Wu returns to the quiet darkroom, but he is not in the mood to think about other people. He is constantly thinking about flowers in the street. He thought that it was hard to deal with the money he spent on the street, and she was just a woman with a deeper mind. He never thought that she was good at medicine and martial arts. In this way, he just wanted to get rid of the people around her today, and then he used the same method to quietly do the thing of flowers on the street. I'm afraid it won't work. And his future plans need to be replanned. Thinking about this, Jiang Wu's eyes slowly became dignified, and his whole face sank down. Mo Shanghua didn't know about the situation here. At this time, the maid she had sent to her was kneeling down in front of her, stumbling and saying, "Go back to the princess, the maid has seen it in the kitchen, but the people there said that all the bowls and teacups that people use today have been cleaned, and now they have mixed with those used by others, so it's impossible to find them. What about the remaining dregs?" Mo Shanghua is ready in her heart, so she is not surprised. She only asks questions. Go back to the princess and throw it out. The servant girl says here, the head already deeply buries low, the body slightly trembles, for fear that the flower on the road will how she. After all, she had seen the previous methods of Mo Shanghua. In that case, I'll call the nanny who is in charge of Qinlin's diet these days. In the flower eyes on the street, there was a touch of sarcastic color. His face was plain, but he didn't know whether he was happy or angry. These days, in order to take care of Qin Lin, she specially told a mammy to take charge of Qin Lin's diet. Now that there is something wrong with the diet, it's time to find her. The servant girl was as busy as an amnesty. After she was in a hurry, she was in a hurry. After a while, the mother came in with the servant girl. That mammy seems to have known why Mo Shanghua asked her to come. As soon as she came in, she knelt down and said, "I see the princess." In the eyes of flowers on the street, the color of ridicule became stronger and stronger, even without covering up. "You don't have to tell me these scenes, I just ask you, in recent days, have you ever let others interfere in the food and living of Qin Lin?" That mammy didn't seem to think that the flowers on the street would turn over directly. She was stunned for a moment, and her eyes kept turning. She was just a moment's silence and hesitated. She couldn't answer for a long time. The flower face on the street deliberately put on a pair of impatient appearance, eyebrows slightly wrinkled. "How dare not say? Is there a ghost in your heart? What did the princess say? How dare I deceive you?" Mammy then hesitated to respond and quickly explained, "However, I'm not very refreshing these days. I've told my servants to do everything, and I'm not very clear. There is something wrong with the medicine used by Qin Lin, and he almost lost his life. No matter whether you know it or not, you always commit a crime of dereliction of duty. My princess will never forgive you." Mo Shanghua's tone is no longer calm and indifferent to no joy and anger, but rare with a bit of fierce air. Scared that mammy whole body a shiver, stammer of open mouth, "Wang, princess, you this is not out of thin air, that Qin Yi is just wound inflammation just hurt high fever, with poison have what relation?" Mo Shanghua used to play with a teacup casually in her hand. The mother's words fell down, and her hands moved quickly. The mother also swallowed her saliva, and her eyes kept turning. Although she didn't do it, she was more or less involved in it, so she felt guilty at the moment. Mo Shanghua's cold eyes looked at that mammy for a long time, and successfully captured the guilty feeling in her eyes. Her voice suddenly became cold. "Qinya, palm mouth. Qin Lin and Qinya are very loyal to her. She won't let anyone else do anything to their disadvantage. Yes. It's true that this mammy often neglects Qin Lin's care, but Qinya and Qin Lin always keep it from her because she doesn't want to trouble Mo Shanghua. Now that Mo Shanghua gives orders, she will not be soft-hearted. She can still remember that when the bodyguards stopped her from bringing in the doctor, she was always there. However, Qinya had just approached the mammy, and she suddenly changed her face and cried, "Hoof, I'm not a slave of your palace. If you dare to move me, you can have a try." With that, he rolled up his sleeve and stared at Qinya fiercely. "Even if you are not a member of the royal family and have committed these wrong things, the princess has the right to teach you on behalf of your master." I didn't expect to see Qinya, who was always gentle and obedient. At this time, her face was cold and she spoke in a deep voice. Then, she called the other two servant girls directly to come over, and pressed the mother to death. She went up to the mother's face and bowed up from left to right. She let the mother scold and cry without mercy. Wait for Mo Shanghua to shout to stop after, this mammy already was beaten, whole face all swollen became pig head. The flower face on the street has no expression to coagulate that mammy, not slow enunciation, you can think clearly, whether still want to continue to pretend to be a fool, I hear can more is the means, can let the mouth hard person, mouth spit the truth. At the moment, the mother's cheeks were burning like fire, but she still killed her teeth and said, "I can't understand what the princess said." Mo Shanghua is about to be rewarded with some boards. The half-hidden hall door makes a few knocking sounds. Through the window pasted with paper, you can see a silhouette of human figure. Mo Shanghua's eyes are slightly cold. He turns his eyes to Qinya and gives her a look. Qinya nodded and went out. After a while, she came in with a letter and handed it to Mo Shanghua. Mo Shanghua took the letter paper, looked at the cover carefully, found that there was no signature, no special logo, in the heart of doubt, quickly opened the letter paper, took out the letter paper inside. The fields in the suburbs are changing again. Let's go. There was only a short line in the letter, but nothing else. The flower in the mo mao is suddenly a coagulate, busily put away the letter paper, see to that mammy's mao light thoroughly cooled down, this princess doesn't have so much time to spend with you, if you don't tell the truth, then don't blame me. Speaking, she fingers fly a silver needle, but the moment it did not enter the mother's shoulder. The mother was shocked, and then her whole body twitched, and her face showed the most painful expression, which was even more distorted than when she was just palmed and mouthed. At the moment, all her bones seemed to have been smashed. She hated to die now, but after a while, she could not bear it any more. She trembled and said, Maid said, please forgive me, princess. Mo Shanghua came forward in person, took the silver needle from her shoulder blade, took out a piece of paper and asked her to write down everything she knew and sign it. This mammy suffered, did not dare to hide at all, and confessed all she knew. However, what he wrote was nothing more than her, and there were 2 other boys. Seeing that Qin Lin, an outsider, was treated like this when he was hurt, they were not angry, so they united up to kill him, and the other half didn't reveal. The stranger knows that it is Jiang Wu who is behind the scenes. These people are just the scapegoats, but they are not investigating. Instead, they ask the bodyguard to tie those people up and order them to go down. You take these people, together with the charge of painting a charge, and take them to Governor Jiang, and tell him to let her deal with them according to the rules of the government. After a pause, a faint cold light crossed the flower eyes on the street. By the way, let her take charge of the servants in the mansion. If not, I really dare not continue to live. The flower on the street was cold, and her voice was cold. She had no emotion to speak of. She was obviously determined. Qinya looked at some of the guards who were in a daze. She frowned and urged, What are you still in a daze? Isn't it that the princess can't call you? These bodyguards have just seen the means of flowers on the street. At this time, they smell the words and hurry back to their senses. They even say that they are not. Then he took the mammy and the other 2 boys who were involved in the matter. The room was empty again. But Qinya looked at the flowers anxiously and said, Princess, these people are from the prefecture. We just convicted them on the basis of a piece of crime, but they are still from the prefecture after all. Will the prefecture guard Jiang protect them? He didn't dare. The stranger frowned and didn't move at all, but his voice was full of determination. Besides, it's just a few slaves. He won't argue with me because of them. More importantly, these people were originally the scapegoats arranged by Jiang Wu. He would definitely send these people to die without blinking an eye. However, I'm afraid the only thing he didn't expect was that the flower party in the street would make people look like that and send them to him, so that he could solve them himself, so as to frighten and provoke them. Qinya nodded, drooping her eyes and thinking about something. Mo Shanghua suddenly pulls Qinya over, pulls her wrist, and looks down to feel her pulse. Qinya's head is full of fog and water, but she doesn't dare to be interrupted when she sees that the flower is so attentive. She just looks down with breath holding. The willow eyebrows of the flowers on the street were stretched out. With the passage of time, they twisted up little by little, and suddenly a touch of cold color passed in their eyes. These people dare to poison Qinya quietly while she is away. Princess, what's the matter with you? Qinya was even more confused. She thought about it deeply, but she suddenly woke up. Her face suddenly changed. Is it true that the maid's body has been moved by them? Under Qin Yao's white complexion, Mo Shanghua nodded slowly, and the cold was raging in her eyes. I just felt your pulse and found out that you were poisoned. This poison is colorless and tasteless. It won't be any different after poisoning, and it will lurk in your body for a few days. After a few days, it will poison you. At the time of toxic hair, he died of stemmed blood, but ordinary doctors couldn't find any difference. Her delicate face seemed to be covered with an invisible layer of ice, so cold that even the surrounding air dropped a little bit. Jiang Wu is really good at calculating. Unfortunately, he does a lot of calculations, but I don't know that I also know some medical skills. During the conversation, Mo Shanghua put Qinya's hand back temporarily, put one hand on her shoulder, and said seriously, Qinya, you believe me, I will help you to solve the poison on your body, as for the person behind the scenes, I will not let go. Jiang Wu repeatedly attacked the people around her. Even before she had time to attack her, it was beyond her tolerance. Therefore, she was bound to make Jiang Wu pay the price. Qinya Wei's white face gradually warmed up. He nodded trustfully, I believe you. Her clear eyes, full of trust, in the warm sun of the day, slightly suffused with the color of water. With Qinya's trusting eyes, the cold and hard heart of Mo Shanghua can't help but warm up. No matter what, she must save Qinya. By the way, Princess, we have to go to the suburbs as soon as possible. After being moved, Qinya came back to her mind and reminded her that she was afraid of missing something. The flower eyebrow heart on the MO is a see you again, in the mouth peep out a little chagrin of color, unexpectedly is temporarily forget, go, now prepare horse, let's go quickly. Yes, I will go now. Qinya answered and went down in a hurry. Set off by the lush trees, a dark guard in competent black clothes fell down on the branch and nodded to Mo Ling, who was also dressed in front of him. The princess is on her way. Do we want to stay here? Mo Ling seemed to have thought about the wording for a long time. As soon as the voice of the dark guard in black came down, he said, the princess is highly skilled in martial arts. If you and I continue to be here, I'm afraid we will be found. In this way, you and I will go back to the Lord first and report back to him first. That's good. The dark way in black agreed and nodded, but he turned his eyes and looked at the shed under the tree and said, do you want to solve these people's acupoints? It was because they didn't want to think of any good way to control these people for the time being, so they directly and quietly ordered everyone's acupoints. Therefore, at this time, the little fellow at the gate of the shed, as well as some people in the shed, were ordered and stood still. Naturally. Mo Ling answered, and then he flew down first. His figure passed in front of everyone like the wind. Then he turned into a shadow and returned to the tree. He looked at the dark guard in black, and then they flew away. And those who were unable to move were back to normal, but they covered their necks as if they didn't know what happened just now. There was a strange feeling of pain in their necks, but they didn't think about it. By the time the flowers arrived, the sky was already slightly dark, and the scene of sunset in the western hills, in this green land in the suburbs, had a unique flavor. The flower on the street is half leisure, so Qinya first tied the horse, and then quickly walked towards the greenhouse not far away. The two boys guarding at the door saw the figure of flowers on the street from a distance. They looked at each other with a look of panic. Then one of them ran to a small house built not far away. Seeing this scene, his face didn't change at all. He just kept his speed. When he got to the shed, he had already run away. I've seen the princess. The little boy saw the flowers on the street and knelt down. Well. The flower on the road lightly should then lift a step to prepare to go in directly. Just walked 2 steps, that small si then knee line to block in front of her, the princess is to seek to take charge of. Steward, she'll be here later. Why don't you wait, princess? I'm not looking for her. Get out of the way. If you're in the way, you'll be punished as disrespectful to the princess. The flower on the road droops Mao, light glimpses one eye to kneel at the small sea of the foot side, light voice way. Her voice was clear and plain, but it seemed to have an invisible momentum, which made him bow his head and dare not move, even more scared to stop people. The little boy just retreated. Not far away, he just ran down in a hurry. The little boy came all the way with the steward. They were both in front of the flower on the street in a hurry. I don't know if the princess has arrived. I hope the princess will forgive me. The steward's eyes turned and said politely. He knelt down, and the little fellow who came back with him knelt down. They immediately blocked the entrance of the narrow shed tightly, and there was no place for them to half divide their feet. The more so they are, the more serious the misgivings and uneasiness in Mo Shanghua's heart are, and the colder her voice is. You know I'm a princess, but now you deliberately block me in front of me and don't let me in. Don't you pay attention to me? or do something against my back. Neither of these two crimes can be borne by them. The cold sweat on the steward's forehead immediately rolled down, but he didn't dare to wipe it. The slave should die, but it's just that the slave really doesn't mean that. Excuse me, princess. If it's not, get out of the way quickly. Mo Shanghua looks down at the steward who is lying on the ground. His voice is very calm, but he can't distinguish between joy and anger, which makes people feel that there is no bottom in his heart. The steward hesitated for a long time, then moved away slowly. But the remaining two boys, still kneeling on the ground, blocked the door. What you don't see, if you see the princess, don't get out of the way. Qin Ye's fine eyebrows suddenly twisted up and scolded Jiao. The two people immediately reacted like they were shocked, and they hurried away. The front door was completely empty. The flower on the street did not squint around the two people, opened the wooden door of loading and unloading at random, pushed the door and walked in. As soon as I enter the greenhouse, I feel that the air has become a bit stuffy and sticky. It seems that the surface work here is still very good. The idea of flowers on the street has just turned around, and the scene in front of her makes her eyes suddenly look cold. I saw a big hole on the side of the top cover of the greenhouse. Next to the hole, there were 10 holes with less than one punch. On the ground of the greenhouse, many roots and stems of the green pepper seedlings were directly broken, and many tender leaves were damaged. Only a few seedlings were intact, moist and slightly dry 10 stones were scattered. As for the other seedlings in the greenhouse, because of the damage of the greenhouse and the loss of moist air, the leaves and stems are hanging down like frost. The whole situation in the greenhouse is extremely bad. What's going on? Mo Shanghua Mao Guang looks for a circle in the greenhouse, and finally falls on the steward. The Mao color has recovered to a calm. But the calmness made the steward more frightened than anger. The cold sweat he had just wiped from his forehead came out again. Slave, slave. Why, still not? Do you want me to punish you for concealing the truth before you tell the truth? The voice of the flowers on the street is as clear and empty as jade, but because of their expressionless face, they feel a little angry and powerful. The steward's heart trembled, thin sweat ran down his nose, faltered for a long time, and then said, Back to the princess, the slave was only found this morning. It seems that he was maliciously damaged by people nearby. Because it was not long before he found out, the slave didn't have time to report it to the princess, so I beg her to forgive me. On the street, there was some thought in the flower eyes, but the eyebrows and eyes on the face did not move. Your responsibility will be discussed later. After a pause, her eyes lit through the hole in the shed and looked out at the dark sky. Her eyes were dim. As soon as the greenhouse was destroyed, the cool wind in the middle of the night would blow in, swaying the damaged seedlings to the left and right, and the tender roots seemed to fall at any time. The steward was a little relieved, but he didn't dare to relax. He bowed his head and stepped aside. Mo Shanghua's eyes fell indifferently on the holes on the side of the roof of the shed. He said in a low voice, These seedlings can't be delayed. Now you go to get the remaining materials from last time, fill up these holes, and then clean up here. You can only collect stones. You don't have to dig these seedlings. Yes. The steward answered and went down eagerly. The other two boys also got busy. The one who moved the ladder and the one who tidied up the field tidied up the field. Qinya just walked in at this time. Seeing this, she asked the Mamshengwa about it, and the Mamshengwa told her the truth. Then she went to the chair where she was in charge to please and watch them repair it. Until the steward did all the things she ordered, he said, Go back first, don't worry about me. By the way, Mo Yen sleeps too hard at night. I may have something to tell you at any time. It was only yesterday that the shed was destroyed. Today, someone will come to check the situation. She must have a good look at who is so brave. This. The steward's brow wrinkled in distress, as if in a dilemma. If you only leave the princess here, the slave will have 10,000 courage and dare not. What's more, it's so late now, and it's more serious at night. Otherwise, you'd better move first and come back tomorrow. Qinya has been with Mo Shanghua for a long time. Knowing that her mind is unpredictable and that she has a reason to do things, she stepped forward and said with great momentum, "Does the princess need to discuss things with you? You just need to do it." "Yes, yes." She was scolded by the yellow-haired girl, but she didn't dare to retort. She hurriedly went down with the two boys. Seeing that the shed is clean, Mo Shanghua deliberately covers the gate of the shed, turns out the lamp in the shed, pulls Qinya to the dark corner of the shed, and hides it with breath-holding. After a whole hour, the night was completely quiet, and only a little rustling sound was heard outside. There was a faint sound of footsteps. Through the clear and soft moonlight, a slightly bent black figure silhouette was cast on the translucent greenhouse wall. The silhouette stood stealthily at the repaired hole for a while, then groped to the entrance of the shed, pushed open the door and came in. It seemed that she thought it was too dark here. She took out an old candlestick and lit it. It seemed that she was looking at something in the shed. She looked a little strange. Under the dim yellow candle light, it shows a wrinkled and dry cheek like a dry orange peel. The eyes are pressed into a gap because of drooping, but the furtive color in the eyes is clear. It's the old woman. As soon as Qinya saw this man, she felt a little resentful, but she didn't move. She asked in a low voice, "Princess, this old woman must have a bad intention. We can't let her go, but do it now." The person who made her so excited was not someone else. It was Zhang Wang who hurt Qian Lin. "Wait a minute." The flower on the street shakes her head gently. Her eyes are dark. She can't see half of the tension. Instead, she has a little bit of potential. It can be seen that she is very confident in this matter. Qinya nodded, then did not say more, obediently shrank in the flower body side. Suddenly, she took a candlestick to sneak around the shed. She took a look at the mended shed roof. Her orange skin wrinkled face turned a little black after a while. She murmured in a low voice, "It's fast, but how can my old lady let you do what you want? It's a pity that these good seedlings." As she spoke, she took out the candlestick. Not long after that, the sound of sua sua came back, the shadows were moving, the goats were singing, and then there were 4 or 5 sheep at the door. Zhang Wang followed. She closed the door again. Then she found a place to hang the candlestick. She picked up the salt water in her hand, dipped it in a little salt water, and scattered it all over the seedlings in the shed. Just now, because of the strange environment, the sheep, who seemed a little confused, suddenly ran past as if they saw something with fatal attraction. However, before he came to the seedlings, his eyes suddenly became cold. The silver needle in his hand shot at the sheep mercilessly, directly through the head of the sheep. Even if the 3 or 4 sheep were lying on the ground, their bodies twitched slightly. Qinya didn't know where to find a long stick. She directly knocked out the 2 sheep with the long stick. Then, before Zhang Wang's reaction, she went forward quickly and locked the gate. After holding the key, she quickly came forward and pushed Zhang Wang to the ground to hold her down. In this way, it only happened within a few seconds. Wang did not even have a chance to react, and the situation was settled instantly. For a long time, the pain brought by the pressure on his arm made Zhang Wang feel comfortable. He rubbed his eyes with disbelief. Then he looked at the flower walking towards his stranger in front of him. His face was replaced by deep confusion and panic. At this time, she realized how dangerous and terrible she was. She really provoked her. She was afraid that she could not live at all. Just in panic, Mo Shanghua stood in front of Zhang Wangshi. He looked down at Zhang Wangshi and said in an indifferent voice, "Say it, who ordered you to come?" As she spoke, she pulled out a small and sharp dagger from her waist and played with her thin fingers indifferently. Under the faint candle light, the dagger flashed a chilling cold light and a sharp killing intention. Qinya had helped to teach the evil slaves in the mansion before. At this time, she was more courageous than before. Seeing this, she said, "You can see clearly. This blade doesn't have eyes." Said, holding her arm hand followed with some strength. Zhang Wang's body can't help shaking as he screams in pain. She was not a slave and had not been given any special explanation. Now, seeing that her posture was not good, she did not dare to be blunt. She immediately said, "Yes, I said. Girl, you must be careful with the knife in hand. If you tell me the truth, I won't do anything to you." Mo Shanghua's hand of playing with the blade pauses down. His eyes seem to sweep Zhang Wang's carelessly, but in fact they quietly pay attention to the movement outside the shed. Although she didn't think about the man in black today, she still kept her heart. At the beginning, she came here just to see what happened, which would make Qinya in such a hurry. But now, she wants to see if that person will appear. Zhang Wang was relieved and about to open her mouth. Suddenly, an arrow came from behind her and went straight to Zhang Wang's neck. If it's just like this, it's okay, but at this time, Qinya is still suppressing her behind Zhang Wang's family. If the arrow really comes, it will kill two birds with one stone. Qinya is her right hand and left hand, so nothing can happen. Just now, before Qinya reacts, the flower on the street rushes behind Qinya. Just now, he carelessly pinches the dagger playing with his fingertips and suddenly tightens it. At the last moment, she used a dagger to block her body. Just now, the arrow with the potential of breaking through the air was blocked by the blade of the dagger, which made a clear, dang, sound. She didn't fall down, which showed the great impact. Mo Shanghua's slender hand holding the dagger didn't even tremble. She stopped steadily, then turned her wrist, and the arrow fell on the ground. At the same time, her eyes also through the translucent shed wall, looking to the front. There was no candle outside the shed. She could only see the shadow of a man and the shadow of a bough in the man's hand. It's not the man. Mo Shanghua's mind immediately surged with this idea. Before he had time to think about the next step, the figure moved again and ran for several meters. Two arrows suddenly burst through the shed wall and shot at Zhang Wangshi and Qinya respectively. Qinya had already reflected at this time, and subconsciously wanted to avoid, but because she had not practiced martial arts, her movements were too slow. On the other hand, Zhang Wang was completely stunned. He could not move as if he had a root. Mo Shanghua doesn't have any feelings about Zhang Wang's life or death at all. She sweeps Qinya like the wind and takes a step towards her body. The arrow immediately rubs Qinya's neck. Zhang Wang was not so lucky. The arrow shot directly into her heart. She screamed in pain and fell down convulsively. The flower's eyes on the street were full of obliteration. The simple hand holding the dagger suddenly reversed. When the faint cold light flowed from the sharp blade, the dagger also came out of her hand and shot at the black shadow outside the shed faster than the arrow. The shadow outside just moved and was ready to dodge. The dagger broke through the shed wall and broke the neck of the shadow. On the plain white gauze paper, there was a faint of poppy-like scarlet color and a shrill scream. The flower on the street did not move. She scanned around the greenhouse with alert eyes. When she saw that there was no change, she gathered all her momentum. She didn't look at Zhang Wang on the ground, so she took a candlestick and took Qinya out. She squatted down in front of the man in black and took off the black veil on his face. This man's dress is the same as that of the man in black seen in the daytime, but his body shape is different, and his martial arts are far inferior to that of the man in black. The only smart thing is that he doesn't wear any token to prove his identity. But, although there is no token, but the flower in the heart also has a number. This man must be Jiang Wu's man. Just now, the most important task is to kill people. Qinya is just passing by. Did not get the desired results. Mo Shanghua did not lose much, stood up and looked at the dark sky outside, and sighed. It's time to be ugly. Thinking of this, Mo Shanghua doesn't stay much longer. He goes to the steward with Qinya and asks him to dispose of the corpses in the shed overnight. He also orders some measures to repair the shed and rectify the seedlings in the shed. After that, he and Qinya rush back to the city quickly. When Mo Shanghua rushed back to the mansion, it was already 3 minutes in time. Qinya was very sleepy. When she went back to the mansion, she buried herself in a hard sleep. However, Mo Shanghua was not sleepy. She simply recalled Qin Ye's symptoms and took some medical books to study the method of detoxification. She is good at both medicine and poison. The poison in Qin Ye's medicine today is not strange. Therefore, it's not very difficult to understand. You can go to the drugstore when you want to use herbs. But at present, one of the most difficult herbs is one of the precious herbs. There is no medicine in Wujuan. If you want to get it, you have to go back to Yuzhou. It will take a lot of time to get it. Qin Ye can't wait. Fortunately, she vaguely remembered that there was a common herb that could replace it. But she couldn't remember it for a moment, so she had to read the medical books. After reading 5 or 6 medical books, Mo Shanghua found this kind of medicine which can be substituted. He took notes, wrote the prescription and pressed it under the inkstone. Busy for 2 hours, a little sleepy also surged up between the eyebrows and eyes. The body cannot help but relax on the soft back of the chair, raised his hand and gently rubbed the center of the eyebrows. It is time to relax vigilance, but I don't know when Yan Beiqing quietly came in, but the flowers on the street didn't feel it. Yan Beiqing stood quietly in the dark, looking at the delicate cheek with warm light reflected by the flowers and candles on the street. The eye light stopped at his tired eyebrows and eyes. Between the black phoenix eyes, there was a touch of heartache. He moved his steps. At this time, he suddenly realized that there was someone in the room. His eyes were suddenly sharp, but when he saw the person coming, he immediately returned to calm. His voice was rare to ease and hoarse because of fatigue. So late at night, why don't you have a rest? What are you doing here? Yan Beiqing didn't answer immediately. Instead, he suddenly stepped forward and picked her up. The corner of his lips aroused a smile of evil. Concubine AI has become more and more charming recently. It's inevitable that I will come here. While talking, he came to the bed with flowers in his arms. Mo Shanghua was surprised. He really thought that Yan Beiqing was going to do something. He jumped from his arms. He wanted to jump to the ground, but Yan Beiqing stopped him and fell directly on the bed. Before he had time to respond, Yan Beiqing had already sat beside the bed, and his slender big hand touched her ankle. The flower on the street couldn't help but sit up and tug at Yan Beiqing's sleeve. Yan Beiqing, don't be fooled. Who told you that I was going to fool around? Yan North City sword eyebrow funny like picked, and then one side low mao action gently help her take off shoes and socks, one side way, this king can't you think so dirty. As soon as the shoes and socks were taken off, the jade feet were as white as lotus roots. But the soft soles of the feet were blistered at some time. It was quite eye-catching to go forward. Mo Shanghua was stunned because of Yan Beiqing's words. She didn't even notice the coolness brought by her shoes and socks. She just stared at Yan Beiqing. I don't know what to do. If it hurts, shout it out. Yan Beiqing looked at the blisters on Mo Shanghua's feet. He twisted his eyebrows deeply and asked in a low voice. He began to squeeze out the blisters on her feet one by one. After wiping them with a handkerchief, he took out a circular porcelain vase the size of a thumb from his waist. His fingers were stained with cream and carefully smeared on the blisters. After that, he took off the other shoe and sock and repeated his action. Mo Shanghua had already returned to her mind, and her eyes were out of control, staring at Yan Beiqing from beginning to end. These blisters, she walked for a day, did not find, more did not care, how Yan Beiqing looked so concerned about the appearance. I don't know if it's her illusion. She always feels that there is countless tenderness in Yan Beiqing's deep eyes. But once she looks at it carefully, it will disappear like a bubble, which makes her confused. She always doesn't know whether it's true or not. Why, I'm fascinated by you. It was at that time that Yan Beiqing didn't know when to deal with her other foot, and her serious appearance disappeared completely, returning to her old dandy appearance. The ear lobes of the flowers on the street were tiny and indisputable. They were a little faint red. They pulled the brocade quilt and indented the jade feet into the brocade quilt. They said, I'm just thinking about things. If you're busy, you can go immediately. Yan Beicheng's delicate facial features suddenly wrinkled together, and his face was full of grievances. I just helped the princess deal with the injury. How can you have the heart to drive me away now? It's almost dawn. What can you do if you stay here? Why don't you go back and have a good sleep, so that you won't lose your spirit tomorrow? Mo Shanghua stares at Yan Beicheng's face full of grievances. She feels a little soft in her heart. She turns her head and opens her mouth with cold cheek. It's the same for me to sleep with the princess. With that, Yan Beicheng took off his shoes and socks, turned over to bed, pulled the brocade quilt on the floor, and wrapped himself in it. Mo Shanghua's body subconsciously shrinks toward the inside, and Yan Beicheng is lying on the bed directly with the situation. He is very proud and raises his hand to hold her thin shoulder. It's late. Let's go to bed earlier. Then he closed his eyes and went to sleep. His action was completed in one fell swoop. When he reacted to it, he saw that Yan Beicheng had closed his eyes and suddenly became angry. She stared at Yan Beicheng's sleeping face for a long time. She wanted to raise her hand and pinch his ear to wake him up. But the tip of his finger just arrived at his earlobe, and he could not help scratching his head. He just carefully helped himself with the medicine, and the tip of his finger suddenly gave a meal. Under the candlelight, the scarlet birthmark on Yan Beicheng's cheek, because it was on the other side of his face, only his three-dimensional facial features, which were as delicate as jade, seemed to hide countless fatigue and pain. I can't help thinking that he hasn't slept so late, and there are so many secrets behind him. In case, he is really just tired of spring. So thinking, Mo Shanghua also took back his hand, carefully moved his long arm away from his shoulder, and lay on his back. However, she just took Yan Beicheng's arm away, he seemed to be aware of it, turned over, and took his long arm around her waist. Mo Shanghua just wanted to attack, but listening to the sound of breathing behind him, the heart finally collapsed, no action. Even so, she said angrily, you are so deep-minded that you sleep very fast. It's strange and hateful. So recited too, also don't see behind what movement, she also inexplicably sleepy down, slowly close eyes to sleep. It was not until Mo Shanghua fell asleep that Yan Beicheng, who should have fallen asleep early behind him, suddenly opened his eyes. What he saw in his eyes was the endless dark color, which was very unpredictable and difficult to understand. For a long time, he looked down at the back of the head of the flower, for a long time, the flower will be his arms and pull, this just closed his eyes again, sleep in the past. The next day, this is it noon? Mo Shanghua seldom sleeps to the top of the day. She looks at the warm sunshine outside and does not whisper. Back to the princess, it's really noon. Seeing this, Qinya came over with a copper plate. As she twisted her handkerchief, she frowned and said, I'm afraid the princess was too tired yesterday. She woke up so late today. Mo Shanghua just woke up, and her thoughts were still a little erratic. She nodded casually. Then, as if she thought of something, she suddenly said, where's Yanbei City? Lord? Qinya made a gesture in her hand, and then she looked at the flowers on the street like a joke. She pursed her lips and laughed, Princess, don't worry. The prince didn't go out to look for flowers and willows today. Now he is having lunch. Mo Shanghua didn't pay attention to Qinya's teasing eyes. After hearing this, she didn't follow. She got up as usual to change clothes and have lunch. Then she asked Qinya to see Qin Lin, and sent someone else to take the medicine according to the prescription she wrote yesterday. She locked herself in the room for 2 hours before she made the antidote pill and sent it to Qinya. Qinya is very grateful with the antidote pill. She kneels down to worship the gift. Even Qin Lin, who is still ill, struggles to get out of bed and insists on kneeling down to salute Mo Shanghua. He can't speak, so he can only express his gratitude in sign language. You two are my left and right hands, and it's because you're with me that you'll suffer. You don't have to. The flowers on the street helped the two people up one by one, gently comforting them. Qinya looked at each other in person. After a long time, Qinya choked and said, Princess, our brother and sister are the slaves you bought, and you are so kind to us. We should be loyal to you. Not only now, but also in the future, we will go down for you." Qin Lin nodded to one side, obviously agreeing with Qin Ye's words. Mo Shanghua's delicate mandible was lighter, and her trust in them suddenly rose to a higher level. She told them what they should pay attention to when taking medicine, and then let them go ahead. Wait until two people retreat. Mo Shanghua just sat down and pondered over what happened these days. From the beginning, Jiang Wu invited them to stay in the sheriff's residence. After that, everything happened to her or the people around her. It can be seen that the ultimate goal of the people behind her is to put her to death. No, it should be said that it is to get rid of her first, which is to get rid of Yan Beiqing through her death. If you want to kill Yan Beiqing, the person behind will never be just Jiang Wu. After all, it's no good for him to get rid of Yan Beiqing, and he may be implicated. Now, he's not afraid of involvement, and he's afraid of the people behind him. I'm afraid the person behind this is the same as the mysterious people in black yesterday. It's very likely that they came from the Imperial City, or some other mysterious organization that Yanbei City is alive and threatens them. Others don't matter, but if Yan Beiqing dies, all her future plans will be affected. What's more, they have already touched her interests. Well, no matter who these people are, she must meet them for a while. The first thing to solve is Jiang Wu. After Jiang Wu is removed, the power of the Wu County will be lost. Wujuan is so important. If you take Wujuan, it must be a great trauma to the people behind it. It's also a warning to them. However, her strength is not enough now. She must find Yan Beiqing to cooperate with her. Thinking about this, Mo Shanghua doesn't hesitate at the moment. He asks someone where Yan Beiqing is, so he goes to find him and plans to make it clear to him. When Yan Beiqing saw Mo Shanghua coming to find himself, he could not help picking his sword eyebrows and laughing. How can the princess come to find me today? Is it hard to think about yesterday's tenderness and miss me? This kind of frivolous ridicule, Mo Shanghua has long been used to listening to it, and automatically ignored it. She only spoke in a low voice. I have something important to tell you. Say, Mao light in the house stands of several small sea bodies sweep. You all go down. I want to talk to the princess. Yan Beiqing knew it immediately, but he still opened his mouth with a smile. What he said is very easy for people to imagine. The little fellow tacit smile, busy all back down, still don't forget to close the door, all stand far away. Mo Shanghua didn't have the heart to argue too much with him about this kind of thing. He directly opened the chair and sat down behind him. He went straight to the important thing. When I was in Yuzhou to help you cure that patient, do you remember what you promised me? Naturally. When Yan Beiqing saw that Mo Shanghua was so serious and no one was looking up at him, he temporarily restrained his frivolous attitude and became serious. What's the matter? But what kind of trouble has he encountered that can't be solved? Mo Shanghua's delicate chin is light, and there is a solemnity in Qingling's eyes. It's not only my trouble, but also yours. The king is all ears. Yan Beiqing leaned forward slightly, showing an extremely interested appearance. Hearing this, Mo Shanghua sat up straight and said in a soft voice, I think you know what happened recently. Jiang Wu's ambition is against you and me again and again. But now, he's in charge of Wujuan, so he has to get rid of it. Many points she did not say clearly, but Yan Beiqing also thought about it in a flash. In his dark eyes, there was a faint light. For a long time, his thin lip was gently raised. How do you want to do it? Jiang Wu's influence on this side can be said to be luxuriant. It's impossible for me alone. I think as long as you fulfill your previous promise and you and I join hands, he will never be able to resist. The flowers on the street are shining and moistening, and the fingertips tap on the table rhythmically. The water eyes are as quiet as the ancient tan without any waves. After a pause, she just added, after it's done, I only need Wujuan grain to have jurisdiction over it, and I don't want the rest. You can arrange it by yourself. She knew in her heart that Yanbei City was a wolf, so she could not be insatiable with wolves. This one was enough. What's more, although Qian Lin took refuge in him and other grain merchants also controlled her, she didn't completely grasp it. She needed an official name. However, this grain can be equivalent to the lifeline of Wujuan and even the whole Yuzhou. Yan Beiqing has his own plan in mind, but he probably won't agree. Thinking about this, I can't help thinking about how to persuade them in the next step. Never thought, her mind just a turn, but Yan Beiqing is suddenly disapproval of the smile, you want, give you no harm. The tone is very light, as if the promise is not the lifeblood of a city, but a beautiful but meaningless treasure. Mo Shanghua's plain hand, who tapped on the table, suddenly stopped. His eyes showed an unbelievable color and asked subconsciously, don't you know what this means? Of course, I know, so I still have additional conditions. Yan Beiqing sat up straight, pretending to open his mouth mysteriously. What? The flower eyes on the street are half confused and half thoughtful. In Mo Shanghua's puzzled eyes, Yan Beiqing suddenly stood up, one hand on the table, one hand gently pinched her delicate jaw. I was originally clumsy, but now I find that you are really very beautiful, I really like you. Why don't you play with me? Just some fun. Mo Shanghua's first reaction was not that he was frivolous, but that he had such an attitude, which made her feel a little unhappy. She couldn't help saying in a cold voice, beautiful women are everywhere. I'm afraid everyone says so, apprentice. Yan North City lips Cape smiled to pause half a moment, then accepted to accept, again that relaxed and loose appearance sat to return to, but make a joke with you just. His deep, inky eyes flickered, but he couldn't see what he looked like. I've agreed to all the conditions you said, but you know that I've been used to idling all the time. I really don't want to go out in person. It's a bad plan for me to play. I need you to worry about it. Is he going to go on playing pig and eating tiger? Mo Shanghua pondered for a while, and then said in a light voice, okay, but if I need help, I hope you can do your best. That's nature. Yan North City ordered to nod, promise of very straightforward. The willow eyebrows on the street are slightly frowning. It seems that they are puzzled. You don't ask anything, aren't you afraid of pressing the wrong treasure? You know, they are still on the territory of Wujuan. If they make a mistake, they may lose everything. Yan Beiqing has been hiding her strength for so many years. Isn't she afraid to destroy it all? Are you not confident in yourself? Yan Beiqing didn't answer directly. Instead, he asked in a low voice, with a smile on his lips and dark eyes. Not so much that he believes in Mo Shanghua, but rather that he is confident in his own strength. Mo Shanghua was stunned. Knowing that he didn't want to say anything, he didn't worry about it, so he changed the topic. Now I need you to provide me with some people to monitor Jiang Wu's every move and send someone to report to me every day. As for the rest, I will arrange it myself. Good. Yan Beiqing agreed without hesitation, the king will arrange for someone in a moment. Got Yan Beiqing's promise, Mo Shanghua's delicate jaw gently click, and then stood up, I have to go back to arrange the rest of the things, then go ahead. Wait a minute. What else? The flower on the street stops, and the color of the eyes condenses slightly. Yan Beiqing raised his hand and touched it in his sleeve. He took out a pamphlet and pushed it to the flower table on the street. This is what you asked Hua Qianlu to check a few days ago. I just went to Qinghuan Pavilion yesterday and brought it for you. In the eyes of the flower Qingling on the street, there was some dark color, but the smart didn't ask anything. He took the book, said thank you, and went back. Along the way, she was thinking that the real strength of Yanbei City had exceeded her previous imagination. Qinghuan Pavilion's information is not only extremely accurate, but also excellent in confidentiality. It is impossible to give the information to anyone other than the buyer. Yan Beiqing takes it so lightly. He is afraid that he has a lot to do with Hua Qianlu and Qinghuan Pavilion. The more she thought about it, the more frightened she was. Finally, she was calm. She picked up the pamphlet and read it carefully. The cover of this book is brand new, and the pages inside are also brand new. At a glance, we can see that it has just been sorted out recently. Nevertheless, the contents are recorded in great detail, and almost all of Lu's actions are recorded. Of course, the most important is his contact with Jiang Wu. It turns out that Counselor Lu has been in contact with Jiang Wu since 2 years ago, and they have done some dirty things in private. It's just that in the past 2 years, they only have contact when necessary. They don't usually have much contact, but recently they suddenly have more contact. It seems that Jiang Wu really inspired them to do the last thing. The cold color in the flower eyes on the street flashed by, and the pamphlet in her hand was closed by her. She only raised her voice and called, "Come on." As soon as the words fell, Qin Lin and Qin Ye came in and saluted her respectfully. The flower eyebrow heart on the mo is "See you to get up, I am not to let you well recuperate a few days." The brother and sister looked at each other, and then Qin Ye said, "Princess, my brother and I have almost recovered. Don't worry. Besides, it's not very peaceful these days, and there's no one around you who can take advantage of it. Although our brother and sister are dull, they are sincere to you, so you should never abandon them." Although Qin Lin could not speak, he also looked at the flowers on the street with a sincere face. Only one look was enough to explain everything. Mo Shanghua frowned and looked at the 2 brothers and sisters for a while, then nodded faintly, "That's so, then you will come back to serve." Qin Lin and Qin Ye were all relieved. Then they looked at each other with a smile and came closer. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua was no longer coy and said, "I remember a few days ago, I asked Lu Yuanwei to replace all the grain and return it. I haven't had time these days. Now it's gone several days. Can he do it?" Qin Lin has been responsible for staring at things outside. Although he is ill these days, he has not been able to get down. Now, seeing this, he uses his hand gestures to describe it. "Back to the princess, people from the grain shop have just talked back and forth this morning, saying that they have already sent 500 jin of rice. They have all opened their bags and checked them. They are all white polished rice. This man is good at learning, or princess, you have a way." Seeing this, Qin Ye snorted and could not help murmuring, "Do you know where these rice grains come from?" In the flower eyes on the street, there are some suspicions. I feel strange and tight in my heart. Just now that pamphlet should have been sorted out 2 days ago. There was no record of these days, so she was not very clear. Let's not say that Lu Yuan is out there. That is to say, most of the rice in Wu County is in her hands. How can she get so much rice in other places at one time? Thinking of this, she was more and more confused. However, Qin Lin shook his head with a blank face. He was already ill. It was not easy for him to pay attention to these obscure things. He really had no spare energy to explore them. The flower on the street only nods her mandible to respond. It seems that there is a light wave in her eyes. She taps on the table subconsciously and thinks to herself. In fact, it doesn't need to be too tangled. What matters now is Jiang Wu's business. Jiang Wu used to make trouble with Lu Yuan before, but now she might as well treat him in her own way. A plan slowly took shape in her mind. Thinking of this, the pure white fingers of the flower tapping on the table stopped, and the look in his eyes was calm and deep. Qin Lin, you let people pass on the message, and let member Lu come to reply, and this matter need not be covered up in front of others. Qin Lin nodded and went down after the ceremony. Yuzhou, young master, Nanha girl asks to see you. The graceful and enchanting woman stops in front of the willows and opens her mouth gently. Flower thousand willow originally a face exasperation of take usually that saw bow of fold fan in the hand of the gas hoo of force fan, at this time listened to the maid's words, on the face suddenly more and more agitated up, she come to do what, Yen North City explain her affair isn't enough. At the thought of Yen Beicheng, the master of Nanha, he gritted his teeth angrily. He wanted to run back now and beat him up. Although, he may not be able to beat that guy. After listening to Yen Beicheng's words, he spent 2 days in a hurry to come back. When he came back, he found that Chunghuan Pavilion was nothing serious at all. Those little things had been dealt with long ago, and Yan Beicheng had taken advantage of the token on purpose. This person is really careful. He just teased a few words with the small mo flower, he unexpectedly so toss at him. At the thought of this, the flower willow is more and more angry. The maid was not afraid. She said in a soft voice, I guess it's mostly because of the king's business. Sir, are you seeing me or not? Of course, I want to see you. Go and invite her in. Flower Thousand Willow to South Crane also have some understanding. No, she is not easy to send, simply powerless should come down. The maid just took orders to go on. In a short time, Nanhe was graceful and came in step by step. She was wearing a water dove-colored dress, and her black hair poured out like splashing ink behind her. There were only a few simple hairpins in her hair, which made her pretty face more and more gentle and refined. With such a good appearance, you can see that it is not common. Hua Qianlu has returned to his usual casual appearance. He gently shakes his folding fan rhythmically. If you remember correctly, Brother Beicheng should have given you all the things in the palace before he left. The affairs in the palace are busy. How can you have time to come to me today? In fact, even if Nanhe didn't say it, he was clear in his heart. After all, many people were clear about the fact that Nanhe had been happy with Yanbei City for many years. Being questioned so directly, Nanhe was not annoyed. He spoke softly in his voice, Saibi has dealt with the affairs in the mansion. I heard that you are back, young Master Hua. I'll clean up now. Her face was gentle and quiet. After that, she lifted her eyes and glanced at the look of Hui Qianliu. Then she continued, I heard that Wagangzi came back from Wujuan. Flower Thousand Willow Bear in the Heart impatient, at Will nodded, yes, South Crane girl isn't, want to listen to this child talk about the local conditions and customs, beautiful scenery wonders over there? Young Master Hua misunderstood. Nanhe quietly interrupted. Meimu was as gentle as Qingchuan. To tell you the truth, the prince hasn't sent any news to the mansion for 2 days, and the people I sent to inquire about haven't come back. I really can't put down my heart. Now you happen to come back, so I come here in a hurry to ask if you have any news here. In fact, it's not that Yan Beicheng didn't send the news back, but that his news was not sent to Nanhe. Naturally, she can't know. Now she is just deliberately cheating Hui Qianliu. However, the seemingly casual flower willow is not so easy to cajole. He didn't believe half of it. He said with a habitual smile, you're asking the wrong person. Your prince is busy all day. I can't see the end. Where can I see it? I've only met the princess at most. The relationship between them is so good that they can't see each other. Nanhe was angry in his heart, but he only showed a little regret on his face. Then he continued to ask, speaking of it, the princess and I are just like old friends at first sight. When she was still in the palace, we met very happily. Now that Wagangzi met her, how can we know what she is doing now? Everything has been handled well. Hua Qianlu gently shakes the folding fan's hand and stops. The long fox's eyes are a bit of a smile. The princess of Beicheng brother is cold and tight. She is indifferent to everyone. She even loves to reply to me. It's really rare that she can talk to her more. Nanhe gracefully folded his hands in front of him and tightened them slightly, but there were no mistakes on his face. He just chuckled and said, Wang Feixiu is a little closer to me because she sees that I'm too hard at cooking. But I forget that you are so understanding and considerate. How can anyone dislike you? Hua Qianliu's beautiful lips were lightly hooked, and he said with a smile, however, I only know that the princess looks good, and I don't know what's next. The princess is well, and the lord must be very good, so I can rest assured. Nanhe chuckled at ease, then thought of something. Ruoyu frowned, but the princess has been gone for more than a month. I don't know if they have mentioned it. When will they come back? This woman has so many problems, and she always likes to be so circuitous. It's really annoying. Flower thousand willow I bottom once crossed a few minutes impatient, on the face is still I view nose view heart, way, their husband and wife's affair, this child how can know? You don't have to worry too much. I think they will come back immediately when they deal with the affairs of Wujuan. Then he closed the folding fan in his hand, covered his mouth and yawned, it's really hard to come back all night. I'm so sleepy. After the order to leave, Nan he had more words in his heart. In order to maintain her image, he got up gracefully. It's not my fault. It's disturbing the rest of the young master, so Nan he left. At the end of his speech, he bowed down and politely turned away. When the sound of footsteps gradually faded away, Hua Qianlu spread out her body towards the seat behind her, and tut-tut said, Brother Beicheng is really blessed, 1 by 2, I miss him every day. It seems that he will see some good plays in his backyard in the future. That pair of narrow fox eyes, full of malicious smile. South crane face as usual back to the palace, money in the soft collapse after sitting down, soft water eyes this just light yang up a bit of calm color. Hua Qianlu talked a lot, but he refused to say anything useful. After wasting so long with him, what he said was nonsense. When she thought about it, there was a burst of anger in her heart. If it wasn't for the tight population who was in charge of contacting Wang Yi, she couldn't find out. How could she go to Hua Qianlu, the fox? What's more, she didn't expect that he would give orders directly. It's not this that matters, it's the Lord's side. The princess from the imperial city is really not simple. The Lord has paid a little attention to her. Now she has been out with the Lord for 2 months. If the Lord is moved, how can she deal with herself? In fact, if she had been in the past, she would never have this kind of worry, but that day she deliberately tested the attitude of the Lord, and the appearance of the woman now restored, how could she not worry? The longer they were away, the more uneasy she was. No, she can't. She must make the Lord come back as soon as possible. The more he thought about it, the more restless he felt, and the gentleness on his face almost couldn't be maintained. Come here, get some paper, ink pen, and inkstone. She clenched her palm and thought for a long time. Then she raised her head and spoke lightly. Yes. The maidservant outside the door answered. Soon, she gathered her eyes and offered her pen, ink, paper, and inkstone with a low purpose. Then she went down obediently, and there was only Nan he left in the room. Nan he directly picked up the Langhao pen, dipped it lightly on the inkstone, and began to write carefully. The original square paper was cut into the size of a palm by her, but the palm-sized paper was covered with beautiful little characters. When the ink was getting dry, she rolled up the note, put it in a little finger-sized mailbox, and took it to the window. As usual, she grabbed the gray carrier pigeon out of the cage, tied the carrier pigeon's legs, and then released it from the window. The carrier pigeon did not stay for a moment, spread its wings and went away towards the sky. Nanha looked at the pigeon's little figure, and a dark color floated slowly in his eyes. His lips said slowly, Lord, I hope you will return when you see the letter. In spite of this thought, her folded hands slowly tightened, and her fingers turned white, but she suddenly did not know the general, and the fierce color in her eyes also flashed away. However, if that woman makes you excited, I will never let her go easily. The grass people see the princess. Counselor Lu is much better than he was last time. He bows respectfully at the sight of flowers on the street. Get up, Chinya, and watch the tea. The light of the flowers in the street sweeps from Counselor Lu's body. The color of the eyes is clear and calm, and you can't see any emotion. The more she was like this, the more uneasy she was. However, she tried to bear it. She got up respectfully and sat down at the next head. Mr. Lu is so formal. I just want to ask you something. Originally, Mo Shanghua, who used tea with low eyes, suddenly turned her eyes and looked out at Member Lu, with a flat voice. Lu Yuan outside the body suddenly a stiff, chat of pull lips cape to smile, is. Mo Shanghua is not in a hurry to see this. She just drops her eyes and continues to taste tea. Yu Guang quietly observes Yuan Lu's look. It wasn't until Mr. Lu was more and more uneasy to sit down, that he put down his celadon teacup and said, "I've seen all the rice you sent. It's really excellent. It's half as good as the one sent by Money Manager. It is because of this." Lu Yuanwei had some words in his mind, and then said, "If the princess is not there, these are just the rest of the grain at the harvest this year. At most, they are fresh. How can they compare with Qian Yuanwei?" He answered the question of flowers on the street, and at the same time he took the initiative to explain the source of grain. He thought it was perfect. However, his thoughts had just turned around, and his indifferent voice suddenly turned straight down, as if covered with a layer of cloud. "Do you say your food is the rest of this year? But how can I hear that all your rice is from other places?" Lu outside the heart for a while, busy smiled to explain, "Rumors have always been spread by mistake, mostly false. The princess is not very people, can never believe rumors. When did I say that I heard it at will?" Mo Shanghua's face remained unchanged, but her voice only sank a few degrees. "Don't you forget that I know exactly what happened in your granary. Now, I have evidence to prove that what you said is false." "What does the princess mean?" "The grassroots people are so stupid that they can't understand it." Lu Yuan's heart quickened from the moment of tension, and the color of confusion in his eyes flashed away. He turned his head and tried to explain. Mo Shanghua didn't answer directly, but she turned her head and looked at Qinya. Qinya nodded and turned around. After a while, she came up with a small wooden box and placed it at the table beside Mr. Lu. "Whether it is or not, it will be clear if Member Lu opens it outside." Qinya raised his finger to the wooden box on the table, which meant something. Member Lu's uneasiness reached the extreme. When he reached the wooden box, he stopped and quietly turned his eyes to sweep the flowers on the street. She is still sitting in the first place. She pinches a cup of tea between her thin and white fingers. Her eyes are blowing the tea foam floating in the tea room. She has not given him any alms. At any time like this, Lu Yuanwei only feels that this kind of flower on the street is more elusive. "What are you looking at outside? Are you afraid?" Seeing that he did not open it, Qinya could not help urging him. Lu member outside this suddenly come back to mind, hesitated for a moment, or will open the wooden box. As soon as Fang opened it, a smell of sawdust came to his nostrils. What came to his eyes was not the important thing at all, but the account that he had taken out last time. Member Lu was a little surprised. He could not help but open the account and read it again. When he saw that it was indeed the book, he felt quite calm. "I think the princess misunderstood the meaning of the grass people." The grass people's previous meaning was that the rest of the grain had been counted recently and had not yet been put into the account. Therefore, this account is. "Do you feel unwell outside, Member Lu?" A language is not finished. Mo Shanghua suddenly opened mouth to interrupt. The words are some endless, very abrupt. Lu member outside a moment, then Len come down, full of fog water. "What does the princess say?" In the hand of Mo Shanghua, the celadon teacup had not even been put down, and her voice continued to speak faintly. "The specific symptoms are that the chest is stuffy and the head is dizzy. In 2 hours, the dizziness will turn into headache, and the chest is stuffy. In the next 3 hours, these symptoms will continue to torture you. After 3 hours, the 7 orifices will bleed to death." Although her voice is clear and pleasant, it seems that there is a sudden life-threatening spell between the lines, which makes people feel creepy. What is more terrifying is that with the fall of her voice, Lu Yuanwei, who was still deeply at a loss, actually appeared the symptoms mentioned by Mo Shanghua. Lu's eyes, the size of mung bean, were full of unbelievable colors. His physical symptoms were reminding him all the time that what he said was true. You poisoned me." He rose abruptly and blurted out a word out of control. Naturally. Mo Shanghua didn't have the meaning of covering up at all, so he simply answered, "But it's too late for you to find out at this time. As long as you are infected with the poison, it will attack immediately. If there is no antidote in 5 hours, you will surely die." The disbelief on the outside of Lu Yuan was replaced by panic. With the ups and downs of his mood, the depression on his chest became more and more serious, like a huge stone. After a long time, he pinched the root of his thigh hard. Although he didn't dare to use too much force, it was enough to calm him down for a while. Is the princess doing this just to force me to confess? If so, you are not afraid of creating criticism? What he said stuttered and stuttered. As soon as he heard it, he knew that he was weak. He didn't pay any attention to the flowers on the street. He only spoke in a low voice, "You are here now. You are all my people up and down here. Do you think someone else will know? By the way, I forgot to tell you that I developed this poison. Except for me, there is no antidote in the world, and no doctor can detoxify it in a short time." When she spoke, she glanced at Qinya as if she had nothing in her eyes. Jiang Wu had poisoned Qinya in order to get rid of her. Her move was revenge for Qinya. Sure enough, Member Lu's face turned white inch by inch, and he couldn't keep his composure any longer. With a sound of "putong," he knelt down, shivering and couldn't say a word. Mo Shanghua got up and strode to Lu Yuanwei. "If you want the antidote, it's easy. I just want you to cooperate with me to do something." "I don't know what Lu Yuanwei means." Lu Yuan's eyes suddenly brightened and asked, "The grass people are stupid. Please tell the princess clearly." "It's very simple. Just stay with me these days." Mo Shanghua lightly spits out a word, as if to say a sparse ordinary thing. Member Lu suddenly jumped out of his mind and felt that it was not as simple as that. The grass people are just civilians. It's not bad for your reputation to stay here. "Princess, why don't you change your terms?" "Mr. Lu, you have to be clear that I am not talking about the terms, but informing you." The temperature in the voice of Mo Shanghua suddenly dropped several degrees, such as the cold wind. Lu Yuan's body trembled and his forehead was covered with cold sweat. Yes, the grass people know." Mo Shanghua then took out a small porcelain vase from her sleeve and handed it to her. "There are 3 pills in it, which can temporarily suppress the poison on your body. Each pill can be suppressed for 3 days. Counselor Lu went out and picked it up like a treasure. The clever one didn't dare to ask, "Thank you, princess." Mo Shanghua gently nodded her chin, and her eyes suddenly looked sharp. She said in a loud voice, "It's said that the order of our palace will go down. It's found that the food sent by Counselor Lu has been poisoned. Now many people have died. Now the evidence is conclusive. Put him in custody for the time being and put him in the Chaifang in our hospital. Jiang Wu is the prefect of Wujuan. There is no place in Wujuan where he can't get in. It's not very safe to lock him up anywhere. It's safe to lock him up for the time being, and Yan Beiqing's people will help to watch him." Immediately someone answered under the door. After a while, they went into 2 bodyguards and took Member Lu out. Lu Yuanwei was at a loss when he was told by Mo Shanghua that he had never poisoned rice grain. Mo Shanghua was so slandered. But Mo Shanghua just showed that it didn't look so simple. What did she want to do? As he walked forward with the bodyguard, Lu thought about it in his heart. After thinking about it for a long time, he couldn't figure it out. He only knew that he must have been used. When the bodyguard took the people away, Mo Shanghua called Qinya to the front and asked softly, "Go to the grain shop and arrange it. This play will continue to sing." As early as 2 hours ago, Mo Shanghua ordered Qin Lin to look for some people, pretending to be common people, pretending that some of the writers died of poisoning after eating the grain they sold, making a big scene in front of the grain shop. Now that the goal has been achieved, the play will naturally continue, otherwise the play will be in vain. Mo Shanghua just said a simple word. Qinya immediately understood it and nodded her head. Then she went down to communicate with Qin Lin in sign language, and Qin Lin went down to do it directly. Back to the princess, the elder brother has gone to do it. Qinya just came back, it's just the princess. Does Counselor Lu really want to be here all the time? After all, you are the girl's family. If there is any gossip outside, there's no point in fighting with these indomitable things, as long as the goal can be achieved. The flowers on the street are clear and the eyes are indifferent. They are as quiet as an ancient well. Chinya wanted to say 2 more words, her eyes touched the eyes of the flower on the street, and finally swallowed the words to her mouth. Yes. It's almost time. Let's go too. Chinya didn't want to say any more, and she didn't have the heart to ask. She straightened out the folds in front of her skirt and took the lead in walking. Chinya nodded and followed. He put people in his own yard. Yan Beiqing listened to the report of the dark guard, his sword eyebrows suddenly wrinkled, and his eyes were dark. Mo Ling nodded and continued, listen to the people over there. He said that he would be shut up with the princess for 3 days. Well, Member Lu is also a man. Yen North City heart suddenly emerged such a words, Mao color done time sink a few su, in send 2 past, certainly will would room closely, the princess there also send a few hands, remember, still not to life danger, can't move. Yes. Mo Ling leaned down and bowed his head. Because of the reason of lowering his head, no one could see the dark color in his eyes. The lord was so devoted to the princess that he always felt that it was not a good thing. My lord, the big deal is not good. A small sea rashly rushed into the study, put on, and knelt down. Jiang Wu's heart leaped, and he had a kind of ominous premonition in his heart. If it's a big thing, say it quickly. If it's a small thing, you'll be punished for rashness. Little C realized his recklessness, but he didn't dare to say more. He quickly told the story about the grain shop and the arrest of Lu Yuanwei. Jiang Wu Jingston ground for a while, then stood up, went forward to tightly grasp that small C's skirt, lifted his body up slightly. What do you say? The boy was so scared that his whole face turned white, and his forehead was dripping with cold sweat. However, he had to face bitterly and said, My lord, the slave's words are true. I dare not deceive you. Jiang Wu's eyes crossed a touch of startled color, and a bit of calculation. Can you find out, Lu member outside? When I was arrested, I was tortured to extort a confession, but I vomited something I shouldn't vomit. The boy shook his head in confusion. Lord Hui, the princess was alone with Member Lu at that time, and many people were sent to guard outside. Our people couldn't get in at all and couldn't find out anything. A bunch of rubbish, what's the use of this official to support you? In his anger, Jiang Wu threw the boy out and blushed. The boy fell to the ground and knelt down again quickly. He kept buttoning his head. I'll die, I'll forgive you. Jiang Wu's anger was not relieved, and he gave the boy a hard kick, which reduced his anger. He is full Mao gloomy stare at ponder for a while. Just wait, that grain shop, what's the situation now? Lord Hui, when the slave heard about it, the princess had already gone to the grain shop. It seems that the family who died made a lot of trouble. Jiang Wu sat back calmly, thinking. Although he got all the grain for Counselor Lu, he was sure that there was absolutely no problem with half of it, let alone being poisoned. But now there is such a scene, and Mo Shanghua doesn't know what evidence she has found to prove that if it is Lu Yuanwei who is really upset, Mo Shanghua must thoroughly investigate. In case she finds him here, she will be punished. Now the most important thing is that Lu member is still locked by the flowers on the street, and she doesn't know how much means she has. If she asks for something else, it will definitely be more troublesome. What about the current situation of the grain shop? Do you have someone to keep an eye on? Jiang Wu had a black face, and the anger in his eyes had all been suppressed. I've already sent someone to watch. The news I just got is that there's trouble in the grain shop. The princess has gone out of the palace to suppress it. The corner of Jiang Wu's lips stirred up a cruel smile, and his eyes were full of fierce color. He arranged several people to pass by and stopped the flowers in the street. He could never let her come back in half an hour. Yes. He wiped the sweat on his forehead and seemed to be able to escape. Jiang Wu didn't care. He opened the dark room in the study and called 2 people who had been left by the man in black before, specially. And he called them near to hear the commandments, and gave them some commandments, and sent them down. Mo Shanghua, in accordance with the wording he had already thought about, symbolically performed with the people Qin Lin asked for, and the people's anger that they had deliberately provoked was quickly suppressed. The interpretation of the content is nothing more than the death of relatives and friends of the people, relatives and trouble. The woman will have found the suspect's things to the public, calm the matter. In order to avoid people taking the opportunity to mix in and make trouble, we have arranged for dozens of people in front of us to have flowers on the street, all of them. However, after all, most of the people outside were watching the crowd. Jiang Wu's people couldn't get in front of him, so he yelled out, "Is that the only way to say it? It's a real life. One life is worth one life. Yes, we must not forget it. We must resist it." These words clearly spread into the ears of Mo Shanghua, but her eyes were half full of waves, and she looked at the people in front of her with a very calm face. "I said that when I came to confess to Counselor Liu, I would let him die. What's more, I would pay heavy compensation to the poisoned relatives. Is this not sincere enough?" She had long expected that someone would come to sabotage. Therefore, she not only made this arrangement, but also said hello to these people in front of her. They would cooperate. Sure enough, as her voice dropped, several people in the front row would come and help. "We are not unreasonable, the princess is willing to come out in person to receive is very sincere, and now the arrangement is so appropriate, we naturally have nothing to say. Yes, we'll just wait for me to hear." Those people seemed to be unwilling, and immediately yelled, "How many days will it take to find out the real murderer? Who knows if you deliberately delay time and finally come to perfunctory." In the flower eyes on the street, there are some slight waves. I lift my eyes to look at the speaker and see the sharp mouth of life. There are some calculations in my eyes, and I can't help but scratch a little sarcasm in my eyes. It turns out that people with a little mind are too easy to deal with. Is there no one in Jiang Wu's hands? Qin Ye's eyesight was excellent. She could see the mouth shape clearly. Then she sneered, "Brother, I look at your face. I don't think you are the relatives of the dead. This matter has nothing to do with you. How can you be more excited than your real relatives? Do you mean to ask for trouble?" Qin Ye. The flower on the street looks slightly sideways, like a lesson, but says the opposite. "I know our business is good, we usually provoke many enemies, but we have to leave some face. It seems safe, but let the face suddenly hold red." But the flowers on the street seemed to be unconscious, and the vermilion full lips continued to say, "However, what the elder brother said is also reasonable, I always want to give a definite time. Well, in the afternoon of 3 days, when you come to find me in the court set up in the city, I will surely find out the real murderer, bring him to justice, and give you justice." The crowd fell into discussion after discussion, but this time it turned to approval instead of denouncing. "The princess really knows the truth. We believe in you." The person who had arranged in advance should be in a hurry. A few people finished saying, "Still don't hope to greet the crowd around to disperse, fortunately most are to see the lively." Did not see the lively, then quickly dispersed. When the shop was clean, Mo Shanghua went into the shop again and told the shopkeeper to close the shop for a few days and other things that needed to be explained. And the man who just tried to deliberately delay time by making trouble got together and didn't know what he was discussing. After the discussion, only one person was left to wait, while the others ran to some small vendors and did not know what they had negotiated with the stall owners. "It's only a short time for me to spend on it. After giving orders, I bring Qin Ye out and prepare to go back to the house as soon as possible. Those people's action is also fast. Before Mo Shanghua can get on the carriage, they deliberately make trouble. They not only come out from where, but also push a unicycle full of melons and fruits towards Mo Shanghua. Hua Yuguang had already seen everything before the carriage came near. He immediately turned his wrist, grasped Qin Ye's wrist tightly, and took her back several steps. Those people did not have time to finish, the unicycle still hid in the past, but it was not the flowers on the street, but the carriage on the side. The fruits and melons were scattered all over the ground, most of them fell into pieces. The carriage was hit hard and trembled heavily, and the axle behind it broke directly. Even the horse was frightened, and its front hooves raised abruptly and hissed. It was possible to rush out at any time. Chinya, go in and tell them to arrest all these people. The flowers on the street are beautiful, the cheeks are suddenly cold, and the eyes as calm as an ancient well are sharp as a blade. At this time, those people also reacted and ran quickly, afraid that they would be caught. Stop! Chinya was in a hurry. She didn't care to go in and call people first. Instead, she yelled at them and knocked them down. She was stunned for a moment and then ran around again. Chinya clenched her teeth and smashed the rotten fruit on her face towards the people close to her. Mo Shanghua didn't pay attention to the situation here. Instead, she rushed forward with a few arrow steps. With a slight click on her toes, she jumped onto the horse's back. The horse roared and wanted to throw her down, and the carriage behind her shook violently, as if it would shake and scatter at any time. The flower eyes on the street were full of awe. One hand held the reins tightly. After several turns on the palm, the other hand was released. A silver needle was tightly held between the fingers and the horse's head was pierced. Unexpectedly, the horse struggled too violently, and she pricked the needle slightly, which immediately led to the horse's more violent struggle and rushed out. Mo Shanghua's body is not stable, so he lies on the horse's back, and the people who have been hit on the street are tumbling. The willow eyebrows of flowers on the street were tightly twisted, and her hand holding the reins had a few red marks, but she didn't say a word. She calmly pulled out a silver needle and stabbed it again. The horse hissed again, but it was not as manic as before. Its hooves softened and fell to the ground. Mo Shanghua used a dagger to cut the reins long before the horse was about to fall and jumped down from the horse's back. The horse had just run a distance. For example, the people who just ran in this direction were faster. When she just landed, she saw that the people's steps stopped and then turned around again. Without frowning, they raised their hands and pinched a few silver needles. They came out from between their fingers. They screamed and ran to the ground, holding their legs in pain. Looking at Chinya's side, he also knocked down 2 people with fruit. Seeing that the flower in the street had settled the rest of them, he took the fruit in his hand and went back to call people with his skirt. After a while, he drove out with a group of guys and said in a loud voice, "Tie them up." Mo Shanghua walked over to Chinya and said in a light voice, "These people deliberately started the trouble first, and then deliberately murdered the princess. They tied them up and sent them to the court. Let the governor of Jiang come to trial himself." In this way, no doubt in the face of Jiang Wu. Yes. The shopkeeper who took the lead was busy. Mo Shanghua gently nodded and asked Chinya to deal with it. Then she left first. She was afraid that Jiang Wu's strategy would succeed later, so she went around the lane with few people and used her lightness skill to rush back quickly. When she rushed back to the sheriff's house, she saw that the gate of the courtyard where she lived was closed, and there were 2 bodyguards sent by Yan Beiqing at the gate. There was a faint sound of fighting in the courtyard, but the 2 were still standing coldly. CMO Shanghua into, a few people will bow to salute, also don't say much, directly let open road release. Mo Shanghua was not shy when he saw this. He pushed the door quickly and went to the Chaifang in a hurry. She thought that the fight should be fierce at this time, but when she arrived, she saw Yan Beiqing leisurely move a chair and sit on one side. In the Chaifang, 2 masked men in black were fighting with Mo Ling. Mo Ling was obviously in the upper hand. He was able to deal with 2 people. It was Member Lu who was holding his head in both hands and shrinking in the corner. His face was pale, his body was shaking like chaff, his shoulders seemed to be injured, and most of his shoulders were red with blood. The princess is back. When Yan Beiqing saw the flowers coming back from the street, he gently lifted his thin lip and began to laugh in a low voice. Mo Shanghua turned her attention to Yan Beiqing again. She nodded her head with a light complexion. The princess said that if she had played enough, she would have played enough. Yan Beiqing replied with a smile, and then turned his eyes to Mo Ling. "I just said, can you hear me?" He clearly lips with a smile, but Mo Shanghua is clear in his eyes to see a clear cold, such as Millennium Ice General, cold without the slightest temperature, as if to human life indifference to the extreme. As soon as the voice fell, Mo Lingfeng's loose attitude suddenly changed. His eyes were full of murders. As soon as he turned the blade in his hand, he picked up a long sword in the hand of a man in black. Then, he quickly took the initiative to attack. After a while, one of them was badly injured by Mo Ling, and the other was also seriously injured. However, he was a little clever. He took advantage of Mo Lingsheng's time to capture the man and ran away. Seeing that the man in black fled, Mo Shanghua and Yan Beiqing did not move, even their eyebrows and eyes did not move. "Don't chase me." Mo Ling wanted to chase, but Yan Beiqing was busy to stop. "Always leave a message." "Yes." Mo Ling should be can't help but also look down at the masked man in black who was firmly suppressed by himself. "Lord, how do you want to deal with this man?" If Mo Ling's eyes look at him like nothing, he can't help wondering what kind of terror Yan Beiqing's real strength will be. Yan Beiqing, as if not aware of her eyes, slightly restrained his lips and said with a smile, "Seal up the martial arts and tie them up, and transport them to the outskirts of the city together with the Lu member. By the way, take some medicine for Lu to avoid death." "Yes, I'll do it right away." After bowing, Mo Ling took out a porcelain vase and handed it to Lu Guanwei for him to eat. As for the masked man in black, he is not afraid that he has half resistance when his acupoints are sealed. "When did you build the secret passage, and where are you going to take these two bodies?" The flowers on the street are full of doubts and can't help asking in a low voice.